What's up, y'all? It's TTC, aka the ThunderConductor, and we back for another YouTube video and Twitch stream. We back. Hey, bro, if you're watching, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And if you're on Twitch, make sure you follow and ring the bell. I am so excited to be back. Hey, I can't express it enough. And of course, you all know I have a question to ask. What is your favorite spoiler from the top tier DRAGONSTORM set for cEDH? We got some people that's going to say, come on, Nature's Rhythm, another green tutor? Come on, sign me up. This is simple. Some people are going to say, but the new best silence effect got dropped, Voice of Victory. Honestly, I've already been putting this one in my decks, and like, if anybody knows TTC, minimum 4 to 5 silence effects, no questions asked, that's what's going to happen. But TTC wants to talk about something different today. TTC wants to talk about Dracogenesis, specifically from this set, for the ability that says for 8 mana, 6 colors and 2 red, you may cast dragon spells without paying their mana cost. And you see this and you're like, all right, TTC, like, either you know the punchline already, or you're looking at me like, yo, T, you're missing me, dude. Like, what are we doing with this in cEDH? This with, notably, the very powerful Tiamat. I believe you can create just a deadly concoction of something amazing. Specifically, Tiamat costs 2 colors and Woodland. We have a 7 mana, 7/7 dragon god that says flying, and when Tiamat enters, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards, not named Tiamat, that each have different names. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. This means that if we have Tiamat in our command zone and all we got to do is cast Dracogenesis, we land Tiamat, get the 5 dragons we need, and that's just to perform any combo we desire. So this is something that I've really been passionate about. If you're part of the TC community, honestly, you probably have already seen that I have really been going into my bag with this. So just trust me. So we are building around Dracogenesis, and I have to give flowers where flowers due. I will find a way to just put in the little card up here. Truthfully, I gotta give flowers to Vegiewag, because I first saw this card and I'm like, this is super cool, but it's too much mana. And like a lot of my homies who are great brewers were like, yo, T, this is super cool, but it's 8 mana, dude. We can't rock with it, dude. And so what ended up happening, I have to give flowers to Vegiewag, because he was the first one to bring up this commander in comparison, Dracogenesis with Tiamat. And what Tiamat, like I brought up earlier, what you do is you just cast Dracogenesis, or you find a way to get Dracogenesis on board, but cheating on the board. We can talk about all the ways in a second. And you perform these very unique combo lines full of just dragons, okay? And within that, I just want to go piece by piece. We're going to search. I just want to talk about the archetype of this deck specifically, okay? Now, my deck will be very much different. If you're looking interested, this is what it's called on Moxfield, Draco Flicker, aka Draco Sis. That kind of felt like some Sisay vibes, like a turbo variant. But if you're not familiar, I'm mostly a mid-range player, but I challenged myself this time. This is a turbo deck with mid-range potential instead of being a mid-range deck with turbo potential, okay? And it seeks to use its 99 to present a turn 2 unprotected win or a turn 3 protected win, and finishing the game out with either Terror of the Peaks, Orcish Bowmasters, or Thassa's Oracle, okay? And if you're not able to watch the whole thing, please just go ahead and check out our primer right here. I go into all the fun details, okay? We get in all the fun details, okay? So you say, okay, all right, TTC, it's a turbo deck, 7 mana commander. You still have not connected with me, dog. How the heck are you doing this? So the strategy, as I kind of brought up, is you want to leverage the 99. That means you have to have super strong mulligan skills to find those critical pieces that we'll talk about as we go through the deck, in order to either win on turn 2 unprotected or win on turn 3 protected. And some of those lines include, for example, Hoarding Broodlord, going from Saw and a Half into Burnt Offering. If you're not familiar, here's the Burnt Offering is right here, to sack one of the Hoarding Broodlords and also go finding the Dracogenesis. That's one way. You can easily do that turn 2 with the land, Soul Ring, land, you go Entomb, Reanimate. That's simple. So like, all right, TCC, that's one way. That's cute. But that's only one way. I'm like, okay, all right, just wait. Okay. The second way, another way we can turbo it out, is finding a way to get both Dracogenesis and Treasonous Ogre in hand. And I say, wait, Treasonous Ogre? Now you sound like you're trying to play Ryoya. No, that's it. Basically, by saying if I can get both of these cards in my hand, that means in turn 2, if I have 4 mana, which is not hard to ask when we have things like Tinderwall, Soul Ring, Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox, Lotus Petal, Mana Dorks, both Sphere Guides, 4 mana turn 2, or even the newly added Orcish Lumberjack to this list. We'll talk more about that as well. Putting these 2 cards together in hand allows us to Treasonous Ogres out, use Treasonous Ogre to push out Dracogenesis on turn 2. Super simple, gets the job done, super clean. You're like, all right, TTC, that's 2 ways. That's cool. But what else, man? Like, that's 2 ways. Like, there's no ways you could convince me. There's no way you could convince me to put 6 big dragons in my cEDH list. Well, wait, there's more. Another way, in addition to everything that we do, is I'll just bring up another combo that, since losing Dockside, honestly, I believe we'll continue to see a little more popularity. Worldgorger Dragon. We're notably running the Worldgorger Dragon combo in this list with Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, and Necromancy to create infinite mana. And by using that infinite mana, once we stop the loop, we can either immediately win leveraging an Orcish Bowmasters, or we stop the loop and then use our infinite mana to go from Tiamat into our Dragon combos, which we'll go into those combos in just a second, okay? And he said, all right, TDC, that's 3 ways. I'm kind of convinced, but if you got a couple more, let me know. All right. Last ones. Another way that we turbo out this Tiamat win is leveraging the card called Replenish. Replenish says, pay 3 colorless and a white, return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, okay? So then you say, okay, that's cute, but how do we get it into the graveyard? Oh, well, au contraire, my friend. The same way we would get Hoarding Broodlord or Worldgorger Dragon to the graveyard, leveraging our Entomb effects, and notably, we are running 3. So we are running Entomb, which says basically search your library for a card, not a creature card, a card, put that card into the graveyard, then shuffle, that being our best effect. We are running Unmarked Grave, same thing, put a non-legendary card into the graveyard, and also we're running Lively Dirge. A 3 mana way, but with the amount of mana we can generate, it's still possible. Search your library for a card, put into your graveyard, then shuffle. 3 different ways. And then it's the cheeky way, because we're choosing to run 1 Surveil land in this 99, notably being Undercity Sewers. If you put the Surveil trigger on the stack, you're able to follow it up with, if you figured it out, drop it in the chat. I'll give y'all a second. Enlightened Tutor. You can use Enlightened Tutor or Vampiric Tutor to leverage your Surveil trigger to either put in your Worldgorger Dragon, your Hoarding Broodlord, or your Dracogenesis into the graveyard, okay? These are all possible things that we can do. And honestly, as I've been brewing this list, it's just been so fun, turn after turn after turn, realizing like, this really is so crazy viable. And it was so crazy viable as I was doing my research on this commander. I then realized, and I was first shout out, I have to Anticious, huge shout out in the TC community. He put me on to another enchantment that Tiamat this lists are already using, notably being, if you have not already seen it, Dream Halls. Now this one is similar to Dracogenesis, but completely different, okay? So instead of just giving us free cast for dragons, we're running Dream Halls, being 3 colors and 2 blue. And it says, rather than pay the mana cost for a spell, its controller may discard a card that shares a color with that spell. All right? Now, for us, all that means is if I cast Dream Halls, I need to have 1 colored card in hand, and I can win the game with a Dream Halls combo line where we're doing all this layered stuff, layer on, and it's really cool. We'll talk about it in a second. But the downside for this card, where it's cheaper than Dracogenesis, it unfortunately unlocks this for the full table. And that is bringing things full circle. The reason why I really do believe if you're going to run things like, for example, this Dracogenesis or Dream Halls, I think a turbo variant for this list is the best way to go, in my opinion. And I'll bring up more reasons and I'll break everything down in just a second. But I do believe with leveraging these just high variance cards where their weaknesses are really big, where you can cast this with a Treasonous Ogre, this Dracogenesis, but if they bounce it after you cast your commander, now you have no way to recast it. So the more time you give your opponents to progress their boards, I believe it's better to just go ahead and either turbo out it turn 2 or turn 3, maybe even turn 1 if you can, or go behind the science effect. Like we'll talk about defense grid, voice of victory, and all the other things in the later game. We're talking anywhere from mid to late game, turn 5 through 7, or I threw a lot of counter magic. But with the Ristic, Mystic, Esper, Smothering, Tithe meta we're in, that gets really difficult to say I'm just going to out counter my opponent when we're not really in control or pure mid-range deck ourselves. Okay, so I'm going to take some time. I see the chat moving. We're going to go ahead and just hit some questions. Let's see. Replenish, show and tell, shifting Woodland. Ooh, I'm gonna let's hit these real quick. All right, so we got the replenish. Notably, a card that you will see some pilots testing that I actually haven't taken the time to test because I just it's didn't pull on my heartstrings enough. I'd love to talk about show and tell. All right, show and tell. You know what I'm saying? Your reading is fundamental. All right, show and tell. Now, notably, this show and tell card is 2 colors in the blue sorcery. Each player may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land from their hand and onto the battlefield. I think this card is phenomenal with Dracogenesis and debatably Dream Halls, depending on how fast you can get it out. The reason I'm not playtesting it, even though I think it can create like devastating turn 1 and turn 2 wins, is that once you get past that turn 2 and everyone gets a grip full of cards, I don't see a full universe that I will be okay with casting this, even under a silence effect where I put down my Dracogenesis and they put down something that has an activated or triggered ability that says destroy target enchantment, which we don't see crazy a lot, but green decks have their effects and everyone has their little effects. So I'm not fully sold on this one. But it's not a bad card. Oh, let me not say this. It's not my favorite card. I cannot defend this not saying a bad card. For a 1v1v1v1, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be fully honest. This it's very hard to sell me on this card, but I want to be proven wrong because if someone can prove me wrong in some gameplay that this is like viable with Tiamat, I'll play test it. That's all I gotta see. Prove TTC wrong. That's all I gotta see. We also got Shifting Woodlands, another really great one. This is a new land, if it can come up. Come on, dude. Woodland. Maybe if I take out the S. There we go. It's a new land from the Modern Horizon 3 set. The notable text that you need to worry about is this land becomes a copy of target permanent card in your graveyard until the turn. Activate only if there are 3 or if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Notably about this, big thing about this, big thing about this is that you will see that first of all comes in taps. So it kind of goes a little bit against our turbo plan. Next thing is the Delirium ability. Even though you can pay a green, it's basically you only need to tap another 3 sources to make it do its thing. You have to get to that Delirium ability where you have 4 card types in graveyard, which kind of goes against the turbo plan a little bit more. So though I think this is actually a phenomenal card for maybe a more mid-range variant of a Tiamat list that uses this, maybe not. You can use the Entomb effects with this. It gets the job done, instant speed, when if you're able to like maybe incorporate like a Born Upon the Wind or just go win behind a sound effect. I do think this is phenomenal. But if you're going for a turbo variant, I wouldn't recommend this for the first docket. But if you're looking for more recursion or protection to move forward, this is something I'd say give a little time to her. Let's see. And we got Noble say, how did I forget about Dream House? Bruh, I never even heard about this card before I played Tiamat. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I never even heard about this card. So you are good. Okay. So look, you are good, my guy. I never even heard about this card. Okay. So that basically, just to put a bow into this, what TTC just explained, this is the gameplay of the deck. This is how we're winning on turn 2 to turn 3. There's like most of the times we'll be leveraging our Dracogenesis and Tiamat to win. And of course you still see a Thassa's Oracle. Of course you still see a Tainted Pact. So we do still have the Thassa's package in there. The conversation, I've been having conversations with different great brewers, like shout out to Newsom in the chat. I saw him a little bit earlier talking about why don't you just take out the full Thassa's package and go all in the dragon. I'm not there yet. Maybe some more games in, but the idea of saying, hey, I fully want to go into the idea of making this dragon deck, and if I get stopped, I get stopped. I'm not there yet, but it is something that's tingling in my mind. And so when we talk about a strategy or game plan, that's what we're doing. We're looking to turbo out these humongous enchantments and win through big beats, big dragons. And we'll talk about our actual finishers and win cons and our lines to get there in a second, okay? And lastly, I wanted to take some time to talk about our deck's strengths and weaknesses. Our deck's strength is, honestly, I can't believe it, the turbo side of it, clear as day, turn 2 to 3. Right now, if you all watch your games, since the banning, losing Mana Crypt, J-Lo, and Dockside, the game has been, I've heard people say a turn slower. I'll say half a turn slower, okay? Where I've noticed what is happening is people are using their turn 1 to turn 2, a lot of mid-range decks, to develop sometimes stacks pieces, but more often they're draw engines, okay? They're like even decks that you are like more mid-range or whatever not, they'll develop their draw engine and then their stacks pieces, you know? And so what ends up happening between turn 2 to like that turn 2 to turn 3, there's this humongous window for turbo decks. Now, we don't have a lot of viable turbo decks, Rockside being the most premier one that once people see it on the table, they mostly will, sometimes a lot of skill players will either say, can I outpace them? No. So I'm going to make sure I have at least one piece of interaction along with some type of advantage engine in hand, and they'll be able to like team up together 3v1 the Rockside player, okay? For us though, we not only do not look like a turbo deck, and unless the pay table knows specifically we're a turbo deck, they won't like destroy their hand for it. But even on top of that, because we are 5 colors, we hold a lot more unique interaction, notably silence effects to protect our wins that, for example, Rockside just doesn't have access to, it being only Grixis being blue, black, and red. So I would say that is definitely a strength that we have in our list, where we have more protection opportunities, we have better counterspell. Well, we basically have the same counter, but when we get to our interaction package, I'll show you some more unique interaction points that I have that Rockside, for example, has no ability to touch because of the colors. When it comes to weaknesses, though, there are big ones. We leverage our commander in most of our finishers as our outlet for either infinite mana or multi-drag or infinite dragon cast or multi-dragon cast. And that means Drannith Magistrate, the man, the myth, the legend, is a huge cripple for our deck. That meaning we do have a good spot removal package, or I'm even looking at some unique pieces in order to get around it. So Drannith Magistrate is that thing of like, yep, Drannith is down, we're going to be patient, because notably we can turn a weakness into a strength. Drannith Magistrate says no one can cast, you can only cast from your hand, basically. All right, for sure. No breach, no commanders or anything. And so those Tivots and those other Commander 6 plans are going to want to get rid of the Drannith Magistrate. And then when they get rid of it, we are able to sneak in with that window by either, like I said, protection effect or whatever not. Another huge weakness for this list that I've been able to kind of handle is Gravedigger's Cage. If you're not familiar with Gravedigger's Cage is one of the best 1-mana artifacts in Magic's history, but we'll just talk about cEDH specifically. It's a 1-mana artifact that says creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. All right, so this is one that if our opponents want to cuck us with, this is great. Most people are not going to mulligan for this. They have their own game plan strategy. But if this is what they mulligan, originally with the original version of the list, a lot of people are playing Moritte plus Bladewing as their finisher. Or for example, for me, where I'm running Worldgorger Dragon, you can't have your creatures loop in the graveyard because creature cards in graveyards in libraries can't enter the battlefield. The second ability, players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries, is like, doesn't really affect us. The more of the thing is that we can't loop creatures or reanimate creatures, you know, which is a heavy side of our deck. That is, once again, why we have the removal package. But notably, I'll give you all this little nugget. We'll get to win cons in a second. But when it comes to how we are winning, like the one recent include is, in addition to having the Worldgorger Dragon with our Reanimator enchantments, is we also have Miirym Sentinel Wyrm in this list, which, if you're not familiar with it, Miirym Sentinel Wyrm is a 6-mana cost dragon that's 3 colors and teamer to have a 6/6 dragon that's flying in War 2. Whenever another non-token dragon you control enters the battlefield, create a token copy of it, except the token isn't legendary. And also, if you link that up to Worldgorger Dragon, another 6-mana dragon, and notably we're casting these for free. This is not a 12-mana combo. We're casting this for free. Flying Trample for 3 colors and 3 red. Flying Trample. When this creature enters, exile all other permanents you control. When this creature leaves the battlefield, return the exile cards to the battlefield under their owner's control, and it's a 7/7. So where usually we use the Reanimator enchantment along with our Worldgorger Dragon to make that flicker loop, now we can bypass the graveyard with both Miirym and Worldgorger Dragon, and we can use either cards like Silence or Veil of Summer to protect ourselves, since our Silence effect would be leaving and coming in the battlefield. For example, like another spoiler will be Dragonlord Jamoka, a Silence effect that's uncounterable. It's a dragon. We love it in this deck. But during this loop, the Silence effect leaves the battlefield during the flickering loop, and we'll break everything down in just a second. And part of that flickering loop, we will experience that because our Silence effect is gone, we leave ourselves a window. So that's why we want to run things like Veil of Summer and Silence, not just because they're strong, but they're great for the deck. And the main point to bring up a hedge up another weakness. Once again, Mir, Sentinel, Wyrm, and Worldgorger Dragon does not use the graveyard. It just uses the battlefield. So it's an amazing way to say our opponents say, "Ha, I got you. You can't win through my Gravedigger's Cage." And I'm like, okay, for sure. Silence, Dracogenesis, and just start the loop right there. And it gives us an amazing option that surprisingly I haven't been able to see in the other decks. As I'm doing my research and checking other decks lists for inspiration, I'm not really seeing anybody run this combo. Probably also because they're not really running the Worldgorger Dragon combo, but we'll talk about that later. All right. Now, let's see. When it comes to that, the last thing I want to talk about is, now that we talked about our strengths and weaknesses, I just want to get some notable exclusions just out the way, because there's going to be some questions that come up, and I love you all, but I want to help. Let's just snip it in the bud right now, okay? First of all, before we do our notable exclusions, we are going to do something I like to say. Hey, if you would like to support the channel, we have a plethora of ways. First off, I want you all to join the TC Discord community. We talk about spoilers, we talk brewing, we jam games, we have a blast. And so if you're looking for more ways to connect with me and all the other amazing TC community members, please check us out, link in the bio. But if you want to give a little bit extra and you want to go a little bit farther, I want to just say check out the Thunder Legion Patreon community. They are amazing. These guys just provide so much value to me, so I can continue to give you all value. They get perks like playing on our live streams, shout outs on our YouTube videos and streams, and free proxies and discount codes. Huge shout out to our first tier patron, the Praetor, and our mono red tier patrons, Wavy Ashira, Bitsy Baxton, and B-Rad. These guys rock, and they keep the lights on the way in a way they could not imagine. And last but not least, I just want to say, hey, if you don't want the Patreon, the proxies, or the perks, but you just want to say, T, I want to support you one time for the fun time because I love what you do, don't worry. Check out the link in the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that said, let's get right back into it. All right. So, notable exclusions. Let's just get it out the way. Before I do notable exclusions, I want to let's go to the chat. We also have Noble saying, speaking of Scourge of Valkas, why is it not in the list? Okay, hold on. We're going to talk about Scourge of Valkas. I hope I spelled that right. I did not spell it right. You all, I'm an engineer. I'm not an English major. Scourge of Valkas. There we go. Scourge of Valkas is very similar to Terror of the Peaks, but different. Scourge of Valkas says it's just 2 and 3 red, flying. When this creature or another dragon you control enters, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of dragons you control. Notably, this combo, this as an outlet where you have infinite ETBs, only works if the infinite ETBs come from a dragon, which is not a huge deal. Big thing is like a lot of our ETDs come from infinite ETBs from Bladewing the Risen or Worldgorger Dragon. So that's not a big deal. So this would be a viable inclusion. The reason we're actually not on it is because we already have 2 infinite flicker outlets, being Terror of the Peaks and Orcish Bowmasters, which is a little bit more on the good side stuff. Even though I am running 6 dragons, what I want to stay away from is putting so many dragons in the 99 that what ends up happening is my mulligans get tougher, and I just have a lot of more dead draws earlier in the game when I'm trying to get that explosivity. So even though I do have 6 dragons, the hope is I want that dragon package to be as slim as possible, so then my mulligans are easier, like I already brought up, but also like it's never a thing where if I need to just pivot to a mid-range strategy, I'm not just drawing blanks the entire time. Like I can still draw my interaction, I can still draw my ramp, and then set up for that beautiful window. Like, so for me, that's the reason you won't see any value dragons in my list. It's like, look, everything is here for a reason. We got Bladewing the Risen with Saw and a Half is a combo. Dragonlord Jamoka, it's a sound effect, notably for free with our Dream Halls and our Dracogenesis. And we can actually do this right here so you all can see it. Things are a little bit better. We have Hoarding Broodlord. This is a combo piece, a combo line to help get out our Dracogenesis, as well as just a tutor on a body. With things like Miirym Sentinel Wyrm, which we're going to talk about next, you can double it up with this, you can double up with Saw and Half, and then you can bring it back with Bladewing the Risen. It's just a lot of very unique things you can do with Hoarding Broodlord, and just like I said, just starting off that it helps us get Dracogenesis out so fast is really phenomenal, okay? Miirym the Sentinel Wyrm, notably, while I'm talking about the exclusion of Scourge of Valkas, I also want to notably talk about the exclusion of another bomb that a lot of people are running in their list right now, but I personally chose to take out after I realized this deck, how weak this deck is to what's Gravedigger's Cage. I took out Moritte of the Frost, okay, for Miirym of Miirym Sentinel Wyrm. Because it allows us to win outside of using the graveyard, and we're not completely cucked if our opponents say turn 1 Gravedigger's Cage pass. I'm like, yeah, I can't win now, guys. I notably took out Moritte the Frost, which was originally like I had Saw and Half plus Bladewing the Risen was 1 infinite ETBs, and then we also had Moritte of the Floss. It was a clone, which is never really bad. It's a clone for your things. And with Bladewing the Risen, it allows for infinite ETBs, which is all really cool. The tough thing is, though, like I brought up, the weakness to the graveyard side of the deck was low. And once I really thought about it, I realized that Miirym Sentinel Wyrm, the value creation from getting double Tear of the Peaks, double Hoarding Broodlords, double Silence effects, so if they have that Odawara, it's just a lot worse. Or double Bladewing the Risen, where if we're going to talk about it, there's 2 different Dream Halls lines where we able to make copies of Bladewing the Risen to get back the dragons that we discard to Dream Halls to do the full combo line. And this is all enabled through Miirym Sentinel Wyrm. That is both a combo piece and just a surge. Just like I've heard about this in casual decks, but in cEDH decks, I think if you're running Dracogenesis and or Dream Halls, this is actually something that you can just give a little time to. Just think about it. All right. Next, of course, we're running Tear of the Peaks and Worldgorger Dragon being a combo piece and a infinite ETB outlet. But that's the reason we're actually not running Scourge of Valkas, because we want to keep our dragon package slim. We don't want too many dead draws, and that's where you're not going to see any value dragons here. What are you talking about? What value dragons do I need? I'm running Mystic Remore, I'm running Mystic Study, I'm running Esper Sentinel. I don't want the value dragons. I don't want an 8 mana value engine. I want a 1 to 3 mana value engine, which is easy to get out. Say if I'm in a low mulligan, or I'm in the pod where I'm like, this is not the pod. There's 3 control decks. There's no way I'm going to bust the window out. They're all going to mulligan for stacks or whatever not. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a thing. So yes, Scourge of Valkas is a big one. Thank you. Awesome question, Noble. Notably also, we did get to talk about Moritte of the Frost, another reason why you're not going to see TTC on it. The next one I want to talk about for notable exclusions is the food chain package. You will not see TTC playing food chain, not because it's bad. I don't think it's a bad card. What I experienced with it when I first played this list, so you can have what I experienced and what I did. When I was first playing this list is food chain. I wouldn't call it a bad combo. It's just a slower combo. And when I say slow, it's so microly slower than Worldgorger Dragon. What I ended up doing is I found that when I was trying to build a turbo variant, most of my turbo wins came from me doing Treasonous Ogre with Dracogenesis. And I was like, okay, what are some more ways that I could be explosive with infinite mana especially like with like not leveraging food chain. Also, I was not in love that you couldn't win with that through Rhystic Study, which I'm like, everyone's mulliganing for a Rhystic Study, so why would I try to do a turbo food chain? Didn't make sense to me. Not the point though. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. So after some digging and after some thinking, I said, okay, that's where Worldgorger Dragon came from in my head. I'm like, what if I took the food chain package out, added the Worldgorger package in? So that means I took out Eternal Scourge, Eternal something. Y'all let me know in the chat if I got it right. Eternal, yes. Oh, we took Eternal Scourge out, and we also took out Squee the Immortal. We took these 3 cards out, and that gave us room. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. We took these 3 cards out, and that enabled us to be able to go, all right, for sure, I want to add in, instead of food chain, I'm going to add in, I basically took out the food chain package, added in the Worldgorger Dragon package. Can't remember the exact switch charts right now, but we did add in more reanimator enchantments, which then notably allowed us to have a stronger Hoarding Broodlord line. Because at first we were already running Entomb with Reanimate for the Hoarding Broodlord, and we also were running the Unmarked Grave. But then I was like, all these Reanimator enchantments just make our Hoarding Broodlord lines more consistent. And depending on what our mana situation is looking like, I can leverage now going for Entomb effects and Reanimation effects for both Worldgorger Dragon or Hoarding Broodlord, depending on what I feel like the board is. Is there a lot of advantage instance out? Okay, maybe I should go for Worldgorger Dragon because there's less card draw that's going to go on for just casting one spell, making infinite mana. But if it's like the board is clean, it's turn 2, I have 4 mana on turn 2, Entomb and Reanimating Hand, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go for this Worldgorger Dragon combo, because even though I'm casting more spells this turn 2, I'm making them have it. Because if they have, for example, the Force of Negation for my Reanimate, they were going to have it either way for the Reanimate or the Reanimator enchantment. So it didn't really matter. You got to make them have it on turn 2 to turn 3, which is not very often. But with that said, that's why we're not running the Squee the Immortal. I also have to give another huge shout out to Newsom. I was brewing in the TC community, and I loved what he said about this. It's actually the inspiration behind the name of the deck, Drago Flicker. When we were talking, he was like, because I was thinking at first about wanting to run Auriok Salvagers, and because I was on LED, and I was like, I can run Bomberman, but just something about it just didn't sit good in my soul, because I'm like, I don't want to not be able to win the game because someone played a turn 1 fish. You know what I'm saying? Because then every cast of LED, you draw them a card. There are even like if you have that at that point cast a silence effect first, which makes it from a 2-card combo to a 3-card combo, which is less turbo. You know what I'm saying? It didn't sit well in my soul, and something just felt off about it. And then when I end up talking to Newsom, he was like, well, the question really you want to ask yourself is, do you want to be an infinite flickers deck with infinite ETBs to leverage your Terror of the Peaks or OBM, or do you want to be an infinite mana deck and like put in things like Basalt Monolith, Kennen, and other things where you can kind of still turbo things out, maybe a little different, but it's just possible still. And like RX Salvage in those lines, both have their strengths and their weaknesses. It's more about what you want to do. And there was good points said for both, but I ended up going for the flicker route. And what I ended up finding, it was such a piece of wisdom that he gave me in that moment, that me adding RX Salvagers, even though it was another turbo way to make infinite mana, it made the deck a little less unfocused. For example, like when I took Food Chain out, and added the Worldgorger Dragon line in, it made the deck more focused. It made it more Reanimator centric. You know what I'm saying? And it allowed everything to layer more. Now my Hoarding Broodlord was more consistent. Everything was better. And for example, when I tried to add in the Auriok Salvagers combo, it made the deck feel less consistent and unfocused. Because first of all, Auriok Salvagers is complete dead card. If you're not winning with it, it's not doing anything for you. But then in that, you're trying to do infinite flickers either way. I'm not doing infinite ETBs or artifacts. I need infinite ETBs of creatures. So not only do I have the weakness against Fish and Rhystic, now I also have the weakness of the fact that I have to do this, and I need to worry about the fact that I can make infinite mana, but I'm discarding my whole hand. And if there's a Dranth Magistrate out, for example, I can't even win either way because I can't cast my commander. So it didn't fit well. And I just wanted to I want to give a huge shout out to Newsom, because that really, like, that point he made, of all the points he made, that point really helped me get to the next level and help get the list where it is today. So big showers to Newsom right there. Another notable exclusion is you will not see Intuition or Breach in this list. Oh, this is going to be, all right, I'm going to keep this, I'm going to be concise, I'm going to get straight to the point, because we got to get to how the deck is actually winning. But I got to get these points across, because this is such an innovative list. We're not running Intuition and Breach for a similar and pretty much the same reason that we are not running certain other combos. When I was playtesting the list, and I'm talking about I playtested a lot, I'm talking like a lot. The turbo lines were possible with Intuition, but it always felt a little wonky, because Intuition was, my mind wasn't open enough, but I couldn't find an Intuition line with dragons to make it super viable. And then on top of that, like, maybe there's some Worldgorger thing where I can make something happen, but it's not a 1-card combo where it's like I already need to have a Reanimator effect in hand or something. But what if they put the Worldgorger dragon in hand, like, it just got all murky. So it kept left Breach in hand. But then there was times where I was drawing an LED or Breach or Brain Freeze or even an Intuition, and I was looking at these 4 cards. I'm like, they're not helping the turbo dragon strategy. Like, for example, I can make an excuse for Thassa's, because Thassa's is still turbo. If I have a Thassa's Oracle and a Tutor, there's enough finagling with all the ramp pieces in my hand so I can get a turn 2 win with that. You can make something happen. But with Breach, not only do you need to have cards in your graveyard, it's a little bit of a setup. And it wasn't really the speed that was a problem, because Breach can still be done fast. There are turbo Breach decks. Big one is Rockside, for example. But what I found is it was like they were fighting with each other. These combos were fighting for each other. Like, I had all these dragon combos that just synergize perfectly with each other. You have Breach. It's like a whole different, like, path. And instead of merging with each other, where, like, for example, Worldgorger Dragon and Hoarding Broodlord kind of merged with each other, they just was like their individual lines. Because at no time, for example, Underworld Breach is a great reanimator spell for Storm decks, but there's no time where I'm going to have enough mana to cast Breach and then cast my dragons. You feel what I'm saying? That's, for example, where the switch out that I did for Breach was Replenish. We talked about Replenish earlier. It's like, what am I actually trying to bring out of my graveyard? Dracogenesis, Dream Halls. You saying I need 10 mana to bring back Dracogenesis? You saying I need 7 mana to bring back that? Breach felt more of a dead card because I'm not super good stuff. And Brain Freeze was another one. I was just like, there's not a lot of times where I really want to mill myself that much. Because what if I mill my combos? Yes, I'm running Bladewing the Risen, but it's like, and this was before I had Miirym, Sentinel, and Wyrm the list. I'm looking at one Bladewing, like, what if I mill over my combo pieces? It's kind of like the situation Sisse decks may experience, where if they mill over a combo piece, yes, they're a little more recursion heavy, but I'm like, this can get a little mucky. And so, though I do run a lot of reanimator effects, it wasn't the end of the world, but I was like, I said, and this one I got to give flowers to it, Bissy Baxton, shout out to him and the rest of his crew that made his variant list. They were the first ones to entertain and kind of put the idea of, let's not run Breach in our list and just try it out. And at first I was on Breach, I'm like, I can't let Breach go, it's too strong, and I love Breach lines. But when I talked to Bissy, like, he had gave me a lot of great reasons. I can't remember all of them, but they put enough of a conviction in my heart. So ever since I was testing my list, I always said, I think eventually I'm going to have to let Breach go and in the Intuition package go. I have to be okay with that idea eventually, okay? So we let it go, and the list felt better. It felt different because I will be honest, it feels uncomfortable to be 5-color in some aspects, 5-color good stuff, to move from that to more of like a Sisse strategy where you're not running the best combos, you're being more focused on your own thing. But like I said, we're a turbo deck, and where our weaknesses are, our card quality may be lower, where we hedge that for the fact is, I don't care how good your cards are, you'll never get to use 98% of them because I'm going to win before you cast them. That's the goal of the deck, at least. So Breach, Intuition, hard to let go, but for my list, I really found it was phenomenal. Next is another really big one. All right, next one that we are going to talk about that is excluded from TTC's list. We talked about all these things, but the big one is Academy Rector. This is one where I want you all, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, I want you all to please convince me to run this. Academy Rector is 3 colors and a white. it has creature, human, cleric, and when this creature dies, you may exile it. If you do, search your library for an enchantment card, put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle, and it's a 1/2. I would run this even if it was a 1/1. The tough thing is, though, it has to die, meaning it has to go to the graveyard, okay? The beautiful thing about this is that with Academy Rector, you can do, like, we have so many bombs, whether it's, oh, we can't win right now, let's go get a fish or Ristic, you know what I'm saying? Or we're trying to win, let's go get a Dracogenesis or Dream Halls, or maybe we need a little more mana. I don't know. I don't think I'd ever go get Carpet, but, or we want to get one of our Reanimator enchantments because our Worldgorger Dragon is already in the graveyard. There's so many options that we can do. The tough thing is, though, this is like I forgot the word that I talked to Bissy Baxton about this, and I forgot the word that he used. But this is a tutor that needs another piece. You either need a removal piece or a spell like that has an additional cost. And it like, for example, Bone Shards is an example of a spell that needs an additional cost. So as an additional cost to cast this spell, you have to sacrifice a creature or discard a card. This is the best version that goes along with Academy Rector because, for example, say if I had a Dismember, all right, pay 1 colorless and 4 life, give target creature -5/-5. If my opponents see me targeting my Academy Rector, I've given them a window to interact with me and stop that spell from removing my Academy Rector, which is not a big deal when it comes to like being a Turbolist. It's not a big deal, but I would prefer a Bone Shards where I don't care if the spells resolve or not. Like, I just want to sack my thing and put my Dracogenesis on board or put my Dream Halls on board or whatever I want to put on board. I don't really care if the spell resolves or not to have the most consistency. So what I am finding is there was not enough sacrifice effects that I felt comfortable running. I'm not even notably running Culling the Weak right now because of the number of creatures that I'm not running in the list. I'm only running 19 creatures right now and 6 of them are dragons, so you're really only 13s. And when you add in 2 Spirit Guides as well, it's really only 11 creatures. So it's kind of a little tough to have the Culling the Weak consistency for that mana explosion. But it was tough to have this be a consistent tutor. And notably, just a tutor that we are running, like we talked about earlier, this card is phenomenal with Lively Dirge because Lively Dirge has that spree ability where if you pay the additional spree cost is after searching for a card to the graveyard, you can return up to 2 creature cards with total mana value 4 just being Academy Rector from the graveyard to the battlefield, which is phenomenal. And I loved it. And that's really the reason why I entertained Academy Rector and really wanted to give it some energy. It just was hard to be consistent with it. And so I decided to say, I'm going to let the community convince me. And if you try to convince me, all I ask is please come with a package or give me something to really work with. Because like I said, the tough part is I'd have to switch out enough package cards so to not dilute the list to where I have to run a bunch of cards that only work if I have a creature to sack. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe there's a way or a direction where I can both run Academy Rector plus have the removal spells enough to run it where it's be okay. Like I said, like Dismember, for example, a great removal spell that we still see in cEDH in a certain capacity. So I'm not against it. It's not consistent enough for me. And it's not a single tier. You need another piece with it, which for the low mulligans that we do for this deck, and we're willing to go down to 5, 4, sometimes 3. This is not like the best tutor for those instances. So yeah, that's what I've experienced with this one. The next 2 are going to be pretty simple: Lotho, Corrupt Sheriff, and Smothering Tithe. If you're not familiar, these are great treasure generators. We are currently not running these cards. If you're not familiar, Lotho is a creature from the Lord of the Rings set that says for white and black. It says it's a halfling rogue legendary creature. Whenever you player casts their second spell each turn, you lose 1 life and create a treasure. I actually talked to somebody about this, and what basically how it works is this is great if you can get it down turn 1. Okay, so for Dex, for example, he was playing a Esper Zur in the Enchanter deck, and he loves it because his goal is to get enough mana to cast Zur on turn 2. Phenomenal. You get this out on turn 1. I don't care how low after mulligan. I just got to Lotho down turn 1. People are going to have to cast the rocks, and I'll get my Zur out turn 2, maybe turn 3. Not a big deal. But what I had to say to him is, though, the tough thing about Lotho is, yes, I can get him out on turn 1, but how consistently can I get him out on turn 1 plus have the other pieces I need to have a keepable hand? Which for this list, a keepable hand includes mana, plus like acceleration, because we have to have the mana to do these combos, at least one tutor, and the third thing, which is not required, but the third piece is at least one piece of interaction. If we see it being a turn 3 win, we'd love to see at least one piece of interaction that we at least can draw or find a way to get into it, because turn 3 wins is a great window, but you want to at least have at least one piece of interaction. And the thing is, Lotho, it's just clunky enough where I'd prefer to run a lot of 1 mana dorks that may die to Bowmasters. This dies to Bowmasters too, but it unfortunately has that thing where it's like I can't consistently have my game plan plus a turn 1 Lotho. And for my hands, I find a lot of times that I go turn 1 mana, turn 2 tutor, turn 3 win, or just turn 1 mana tutor situation and then turn 2 win. However, I kind of lay that down. And Lotho is a little clunky, and it doesn't support the turbo strategy that I'm going for. Still phenomenal thing. I understand, like, you want to get your dragons out. Yeah, Beats is the last plan that we go to. It's viable, but it's the last plan we go through. Same thing with Smothering Tithe. As slots start to get tighter in this list, Smothering Tithe is a card that I looked at, I loved, and I said, I can let this go. By the time I get enough treasures to do explosive things with this, it's okay. Like, at that point, I'm not looking to cast my dragons. I'm looking to cheat them and avoid mana cost. So Smothering Tithe is one of those powerful cards in Commander, especially in cEDH, but it's like, I'm not looking to cast my Commander. I'm looking to cheat them out. And I actually ended up taking Smothering Tithe out early game to add in Dream Halls, because I'm like, Dream Halls wins me the game. Smothering Tithe wins me the game, but it takes X amount of turns. Like, how many treasures does it take? And it's double digits to cast all my dragons in the way I want versus Dream Halls. It makes my opponents have a window against me, because now they can cast spells for free from their hand, but I'm making them have it on that turn 2 to turn 3 versus for me, it's just like Smothering Tithe is great, but it's not an immediate win, which we're trying to do with the turbo variant. Not a bad card. One of the best cards, just not what we're looking for. And notably, our last card that I want to talk about for notable exclusion. This one is, if you've ever played Sisse before, this is one that makes sense. Like I brought up, we are running the Thassa's combo, but we're only running Tainted Pact. We're choosing not to run Demonic Consultation in our list specifically because when you run a combo that leverages your commander to get multiple pieces out of your 99, that means you're fragile to library hate. That means, for example, someone can pray. Well, I've worked to kind of hedge against it, but say if someone pray to grasp me for my Terror of the Peaks, I can still win with OBM. But say if I Demonic Consultation turn 1, so I can set up for a turn 2 win, and I exile Terror of the Peaks, Orcish Bowmasters, and Thassa's Oracle, and then 2 other dragons, not only have I gotten rid of all of my combo finishers, on top of that, I've also gotten rid of dragons, which is my other backup win con, just creature beats. I've gotten rid of all that gas and heat from my list. And so, once again, it's not to say that Demonic Consultation is bad, but when you're like a Sisse Weatherlight Captain deck that is looking to leverage legendaries and to do these unique combos, as well as for me, a Tiamat Turbo deck that is looking to leverage these combo decks in very unique ways, but on top of that, be in the position where, hey, like, I'm trying to win, but I also don't want to exile 3/4 of my library for one specific card. It's different if I was on Breach. If I was on Breach, it's make more sense where I already have Brain Freeze and LED in my hand. I just need to go find Breach. If it's in my Toxics, I lose, but if I find it, I win right now, and I just can layer my graveyard to make sure I don't mill myself out completely and lose like that. That's just a skill thing. But right now, there's certain cards that I just can't lose, or else I'm forced to win in a way, or I'm just exiling on my winning kick. So Demonic Consultation is one that we had to let go. But that being said, those are our notable exclusions for this list, just to get them out the way. There's a lot of strategies that I'm seeing around the community. Like I said, the food chain and Auriok Salvagers, a lot of things. And these are just so you can just understand TTC's mindset on why he's choosing to run certain cards and to not run certain other cards. But yeah, we have Newsom saying Delighted Halfling. We are actually not on Delighted Halfling because our legendary count, Delighted Halfling, if you all are not familiar, tap for colors, or tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a legendary spell, and that spell can't be countered. So notably with this one, how it works is like you just have colors. If you go to our deck, unfortunately, other than helping cast our commander, which we're not trying to do. We're trying to cast we're trying to cast a hoarding what is it, we're trying to cast colored spells basically from our hand, being a Tear of the Peaks, whether it be a replenish, whether it be a reanimate. We're trying to cast these effects to help get across the finish line. So I've actually excluded that because really right now our only legendary spells other than Ragavan are legendary, are big dragons, and we're not really trying to cast our dragons from hand using mana. We're trying to use it for free. So that's the reason for our Delighted Halfling exclusion. We got Noble saying, I get it now, preventing the win more aspect of Valkas versus Terror and OBM. Yes, exactly. We're not trying to be too win more. It's like let's call it spade. This deck in some aspect is a little bit win. It's not win more, but there's some objectively not favorable cards in this 99. We just have to accept that. But if we can avoid that as much as possible, that's it. Let's see. We got Noble saying Astral Dragon is another one that we've had a lot of people asking about. It definitely pushes more into the win more aspect, and with Turbo, that is definitely what we are trying to prevent. In mid-range, maybe it has a home question mark. I think it's a big maybe. My thing is, I'm gonna be honest, my argument against Astral Dragon is like, yeah, it'd be more of a mid-range variant, maybe not for a Turbo, but then my thing is like, right now, I'm not running Fairy Mastermind. Right now, I'm not running Archivist of Ogma because I'm not trying to play a turn 1 to turn 2 Archivist. I'm trying to play ramp, tutor, win the game, usually. And if I'm not forced to go into a mid-range strategy, which the deck can do. My thing is, though, if I'm trying to go to a mid-range strategy, that's an 8-mana mid-range engine. And I'm not Kennen, I'm Tiamat. And if I have Dracogenesis on board, am I really going to Tiamat for an Astral Dragon or just win the game? You know what I'm saying? So it becomes a bit win more, even in mid-range. Like, I'd rather run a Fairy Mastermind than an Astral Dragon because it draws cards with my opponents. It draws cards with its own activation. Plus, it's an infinite mana outlet that with Angel's Grace you can kill your opponents. So it's just, I love it. You know what I'm saying? So I would rather run something like a Fairy Mastermind or Archivist Ogma over an Astral Dragon. Issue is that Astral is blue. Oh, harder to cast from T-Ogre. Yeah, that as well. Like, at that point, you'd have to have 6 mana where it'd be like you play trees in this Ogre and then have 2 more blue open to cast Astral Dragon. But then at that point, I'm just looking like I'm paying what? That's 6 colorless mana because Astral Dragon is 8 mana total. That's 24 life. No, 6 over 18. Yeah, no, that's 18 life to get an Astral Dragon line down, and that's if my opponents have 2 non-creature permanent that I want 2 copies of. You know what I'm saying? So if there is going to be a Risk or Fish or whatever not. But if in the weird games that they're not on board, it just comes to this thing like, I'd rather just play my own draw engine. You know what I'm saying? So let's see. We have Noble saying true. T-Morgan makes so many of our dragons great. Yep. So with that being said, we've done the thing, and like I said, we've talked about our notable exclusions, but the biggest question is TTC, how do you win the game? Once again, we've talked all about the exclusions, everything, but how do you win the game? Well, I'm glad you asked. How this deck seeks to win is to either first use Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, or Necromancy with Worldgorger Dragon to create infinite mana, and then in the loop either by having a Bowmasters in hand to immediately just win the game immediately, or on the flip side, if there's another creature in the graveyard, either that we kill it or it's already in the graveyard, we can in the loop cast our commander and do one of the finishers that are in the lower, and we'll talk about that in a second. Notably, we also do have infinite flickers and infinite mana with Miirym, Sentinel, Wyrm, and Worldgorger Dragon. So Worldgorger Dragon is that infinite mana enabler, infinite flickers enabler, and we have enough silence effects in the 5-color shell to make that happen. Notably, before we move on to anything that we're also not running, and we already pretty much talked about, but before we move on to our finishers, I do want to bring up the Worldgorger Dragon plus Surveil land. That is notable to bring up. If you all are not familiar, Worldgorger Dragon plus a Surveil land means that you can mill your entire library, and it allows you to do a lot of unique combos. The most easy one is to infinitely mill yourself out, and then in the Reanimator loop with your Animate Dead, Necromancy, or Dance of Dead on Thassa's Oracle to win the game. This is super easy to just, whether it's getting it's any of your fetch lands that have blue or black, because I personally choose to run Undercity Sewers, but you can run more fetch lands, Surveil lands if you want, but you mill yourself out completely, and the Reanimator loop on Thassa's Oracle. The second way to use the Surveil Land plus Worldgorger Dragon and Reanimator enchantment to win is you want to make infinite black mana, okay? And you want to have selective self-mill, okay? This, what you're going to do is you're going to end the Reanimator loop on Hoarding Broodlord. The one weakness to this line is you need to have another Reanimator enchantment in your library before you hit your Hoarding Broodlord. So what I mean is, if you start the loop on Animate Dead, you want to mill until you hit Hoarding Broodlord, but you don't want to hit both your Necromancy and Dance of the Dead before then, because you can't use your Hoarding Broodlord to bring back your Dance, to go to your library for Dance of the Dead or Necromancy, okay? And like I said, we don't run Savine's Reclamation, so we can't just mill our whole library and then Savine's it back by making infinite white mana. We have to make sure this is a little, that's why we're running 3 of the effects. It's a little bit luck of the draw, but once again, this is only if our Thassa's Oracle gets exiled, okay? Or for some reason gets taken out of our library, okay? So you want to selective mill in the Reanimator loop on Hoarding Broodlord, okay? And with that, you're going to search for another Reanimator enchantment and cast it retargeting Worldgorger Dragon, all right? Then you're going to restart the Worldgorger Dragon loop and either tutor for Orcish Boardmasters or exiling it to putting it face down in exile using Hoarding Broodlord's ETB, or you're going to switch the Reanimator enchantment from Hoarding Broodlord to Orcish Bowmasters if you milled it in the process of looking for Hoarding Broodlord. What I mean by that, the ruling for these aura enchantments is when they get flickered and they get brought back in, they target like the creature connected to them sacrifice, okay? But when they come back in, they say the creature sacrifices, but you have to target a new creature in the graveyard when they enter back in with Worldgorger Dragon. And so when you at that point, if OBMs are in the graveyard, instead of bringing back Hoarding Broodlord to keep tutoring, you can just bring back Orcish Bowmasters and Worldgorger Dragon to then create the loop of infinite pings to your opponents. Notably, can't beat them if they have the One Ring's protection, but that's neither here nor there. But with that being said, you're going to leverage Orcish Bowmasters because it has flash, and you just end the game with infinite non-combat damage. So these are both amazing turbo ways to win using Worldgorger Dragon and a Surveil Land, which, like I said, is super easy simply by just having a fetch land and the right tutors or right cards in hand to win with this line turn 2 to turn 3. I love it. It's phenomenal, okay? Lastly, we have our finishers and outlets. So like I said, I've been bringing up Terror of the Peaks. We have Terror of the Peaks plus Bladewing the Risen plus Saw in Half, okay? This allows us to, the Bladewing the Risen plus Saw in Half allows us to have infinite ETBs and LTBs, and those infinite ETBs will trigger our Terror of the Peaks infinitely for infinite non-combat damage. For this combo, notably, you can get the Saw in Half just using Hoarding Broodlord. So these are just dragons that you just get these dragons post Dracogenesis, and you got it. All right. Next is Orcish Bowmasters plus Terror of the Peaks. Infinite Flickers with Worldgorger Dragon plus Reanimator enchantment plus Miirym Sentinel Wyrm. Next is Thassa's Oracle. Either they're milling your entire library out or having Tainted Pact in hand. Super simple. This is our best combo to win through someone having the One Ring protection. So just keep this in mind. And also, lastly, I call this non-combat pings and combat damage swings. Our last way and notable way to win the deck that is viable, I've done this in games, is to leverage non-combat pings like Orcish Bowmasters and Terror of the Peaks, along with combat damage swings from our Tiamat. This is a 3-swing kill with the commander. I'd love to say that I haven't killed somebody with commander damage with this deck, but I have. It is so, oh my gosh, it is so hilarious. I've never killed someone with commander damage in cEDH, and I never thought I would. I thought that was like you had to be Slicer or somebody, but like someone stopped my early turbo combo, and I was like, all right, well, I got a team at hand. I got 5 dragons in hand. I'm just gonna one by one cast these dragons, and I literally like I said, this game specifically ended in a draw because we had a bit of a king making situation happen. So it just ended up to be a draw. But it was like, had that king making situation didn't come out, it would literally just been a GG with just casting dragons one by one, and we ended up killing the first player with a Tiamat with commander damage, and it was glorious because it was one of the Bane. I'm not gonna call it Bane. I'm gonna call it one of my least favorite decks being Tithe. Not a bad deck, just not my favorite deck. Because if I hear one more Tithe player say to me, I'm not doing anything, dude. I'm like, why you keep killing my tie-up, dude? Why you keep? I'm like, bro, because we can't wait till you assemble your board. I can't wait till you're doing stuff. I'm already losing the game at that point, dude. So it was really funny. I was like, I could kill the tie-up deck with the Tiamat. And of course, I joke about targeting them, but really what happened is they had the at that point, them being seat 1 as well as having the best board state after I got stopped on my turn 3 win attempt. They were in the best position, so it was best to start swinging at them. And by the time we were able to stop them and they were going to be set up to win, I had the 3rd swing of Tiamat to kill them off. So that was phenomenal. So combat damage swings with things like Tiamat, Hoarding Broodlord, or our other dragons, as well as the Orc army is just, it's great to win through whether we get stalled out or stacked out in whatever game we're in. So just having these big dragons are not always dead cards. They cost a lot, but they're not always dead cards. So I love that. All right. We know our finishers, we know our infinite mana generators and infinite flicker effects, but now is the last part of our win con section. The question of, hey, TTC, you've been dropping combo lines here and there. You talking about you can combo line off with Dreamhawks, you can combo line off with Dracogenesis. How the heck you combo lining? I'm glad you asked. If you want the full broken down combo thingamajig, go bananas and you can read all of this. I break down my primers very well. We go through all the steps of all these things. However, what we were doing today is using a new feature that TTC has just for you all. I'm going to be using my new virtual scene. Hey, what's up, y'all? We're going to be using this to give live demonstrations of how I actually do the combos and these combo lines. We'll be doing live demonstrations. So our first one that we're going to be talking about is Dracogenesis plus Hoarding Broodlord. Okay. Dracogenesis plus Hoarding Broodlord plus Saw and Half to do the Dracogenesis combo. So as I explain this one, just if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down below. But here it goes. We're going to move all these cards to our library. Boop, super instant. All right. So in this example, I'm just going to start straight at the Hoarding Broodlord ETB. Because there's so many ways to get Hoarding Broodlord into the battlefield, whether you're reanimating it, whether you're doing anything. I don't really care how I get on the board. We just start at the ETB. Okay. So we're just going to say we got the ETB on the stack and we have additional 2 colorless mana. Okay. So what we do is, let's see, we got that additional 2 colorless mana. Right. So we got 2 colorless mana floating, and I want to give a huge shout out to the homie. If you don't, please check out Digital Cyclone tokens. Like this guy is awesome. His tokens are honestly my favorite. I will make sure to put this in the link of the YouTube bio. He's just this guy's awesome. I love his tokens. They are nice and big and very, very useful. All right, so we have 2 colorless mana right here. All right, doesn't really matter where it comes from. Just you need 2 additional colorless mana. All right. So how it starts off with, you have the Hoarding Broodlord ETB go on the stack, and then you're going to search your library for Saw and Half. All right. Or notably, if you have Dark Ritual, if you have Saw and Half and already in your hand, then you want to go ahead and do a just look for Dark Ritual. You don't need the 2 colors, but we'll say Saw and Half is our library. We put into exile face down, and then we're going to tap this evoke, use these 2 colors, boop, 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 and then we're going to Saw and Half targeting our Hoarding Broodlord. Saw and Half, if you're not familiar with the card, it states destroy target creature. If that creature dies this way, its controller creates 2 tokens that are copies of that creature, except that power and its toughness and that creature's, except their power is half that creature's power and their toughness is half that creature's toughness, round up each time. All right, so then I will destroy this, but first I'm gonna make my 2 copies, make a copy, make a token copy, and the original Hoarding Broodlord is in the graveyard along with Saw and Half. And with these new token, I'm not going to change the power and toughness, it's too much us. But with these new token copies, I'm going to look for 2 cards, being Burnt Offering, and then I'm going to look for Dracogenesis. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap 1, and I'm going to sacrifice it to Burnt Offering. That stays as an additional cost. Sacrifice a creature. I'm going to sacrifice this token, which has a CMC of 8, which has a converted mana cost of 8. It does check the rulings. It does. It's not 0, it's 8. And I can make a mixture of black and red mana. For this example, we're just going to make 8 red mana. We'll just keep it simple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we got 8 mana. All right. So then I have this 8 red mana floating in the pool. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap this to help convoke out my Dracogenesis and leaving 1 red mana floating, but I'm going to use 7 of this red mana and I cast Dracogenesis. All right. We're there, about to be boop, bop, bop. Burn off is in the graveyard. Now, notably, this is something that can happen as early as turn 2. Really turn 1, 2, but this is something that can happen super fast. We have Drake, we have the card on the board. It's so cool. But now the question people come up is like, well, how do you win from here? Because technically, if you've been paying attention, what happened is we used our Saw in Half to make this clone. So we can't do the Bladewing the Risen plus Saw in Half combo. That means we have to go the Worldgorger Dragon plus Miirym combo. And if for some weird reason your opponents have been waiting to blow you entirely out, I'd like to be able to do it with protection. So I'm going to show you the TTC line of how I get to actually finishing the game. How I decide to do this is I first start off by casting my Tiamat. All right. The Tiamat and the Worldgorger. This is over here. There we go. Bop, 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 bop. All right. So I'm going to cast Tiamat. Tiamat's ETB will go on the stack. And I'm going to look for 5 dragons. I'm going to look for Terror of the Peaks. I'm going to look for, let's see, where is it at? Dragonlord Jamoka. I'm also going to look for Bladewing the Wizen. I'm going to look for Worldgorger Dragon. And then I'm also going to look for the last dragon in my thing, Miirym Sentinel Wyrm. Because there's only 6 dragons and 1's already in our graveyard, okay? All right, so put these cards into our hand, all right? Boom, 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 boom. All right. So once you do that, at this point now we're going to DRAGONSTORM off. All right, we're going to always start off our combo by just casting our Silence Effect Dragon, Dragonlord Jamoka. This scale cannot be countered. Flying Lifelink, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Bingo, we got that. Now we're going to follow that up by casting our Miirym Sentinel Wyrm, meaning that every dragon that ETB's non-token is not going to come in and make 2. All right, so because we're going to need this to keep storming off. Next, we're going to cast Terror of the Peaks. That will trigger, okay, our Miirym Sentinel Wyrm, and we're going to make a copy of Terror of the Peaks. Make a copy. And then this copy of Terror of the Peaks won't trigger Miirym Sentinel Wyrm, but it will trigger the original, doing 5 damage or whatever you want, okay? Then we're going to keep going. I'm going to go get Bladewing the Risen. I'm going to cast that from hand. And then I'm going to make a copy of this. And this is where it gets, I'm not going to do all the damage for Terror of the Peaks, but this is where it starts to get out of hand. Like, I technically have to still go infinite because it's early enough in the game where it technically matters, but just know it kind of gets out of hand. Each of these dragons are going to trigger both these Terror of the Peaks, but this original, all I care about is that the original Bladewing is going to trigger the Miirym, making the copy. And this means that this copy is going to bring back my Hoarding Broodlord, okay? All right. Hoarding Broodlord is going to trigger, and Miirym's going to trigger, and these Terror of the Peaks. I'm going to ignore the Terror of the Peaks triggers right now, but Hoarding Broodlord coming back will trigger Miirym the Sentinel Wyrm, making another copy. That means I have 2 Surges on the stack, okay? And I still have this red mana floating, but I don't need it anymore. My 2 Hoarding Broodlord ETBs, and I'm going to go get 2 cards. I'm going to go get Silence. And I'm going to go, and you can get any card. I'm going to get Moxfield, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At this point, all the triggers are finished. I'm going to tap my Dragonlord Jamoka to help convoke, cast out this Silence because I want to continue to be protected. And then and this is in exile, face down in exile. It doesn't matter where it goes. But at this point, that is where I start now my Worldgorger Dragon combo with my Miirym Sentinel Wyrm. If you're not familiar with how this combo works, it is a little tough. It's new to me, so if I make a mistake, please be gracious. All right. How this combo works, I'm going to move all of these cards over here. All right. How this works is when Worldgorger Dragon enters the battlefield, its ETB will go on the stack as well as the Miirym Sentinel Wyrm combo. You're going to first resolve, you're going to choose to stack them in a way where the Miirym ability resolves first, making a token copy of Worldgorger Dragon. This token copy will put an ETB on the stack. And resolve, you're going to resolve it. First, you're going to hold with priority and float all your mana if you have lands on board or rocks or anything. And you're going to go ahead and exile all other permanents on the board except this token right here. All right. This will trigger the LTB of your original Worldgorger Dragon, but it doesn't matter. Okay. You don't care about that. What will end up happening is, though, because of how we stacked the stack, what is left, because we stacked it Miirym's ability to resolve first, and then the Worldgorger Dragon, the original Worldgorger Dragon ETB, that will then resolve and exile all the permanents on the board, which is the token copy of the Worldgorger Dragon that goes to exile, okay? Meaning that the LTB from the token copy of Worldgorger Dragon resolve, returning all of your dragons to board, including your Terror of the Peaks, including your Miirym, including the original and the original Worldgorger Dragon and everything, resetting you back to this loop. And this is an infinite loop that will continue to go on forever unless you do what you want to do, which is kill all your opponents, or you remove a creature from this loop, or or for one other reason you can like flash in the Bowmaster. So you either got to win or you end up drawing out the game. Okay, so that's how this combo works. That's how we do that's how this combo line works, from starting from Hoarding Broodlord all the way to winning the game. Notably, like I said, we're leveraging this silence effect here to still win protected, as our Dragonlord Dromoka will leave the board, and as each of these creatures re-enter the battlefield, it will trigger Terror of the Peaks and it will do the ... So let's check questions real quick. Let's see. Yeah, yo, this is cool. I need you to teach me how to do this. Show me your ways. Say Noble. We got Noble. So I used to do this in my Miirym deck itself, built her as a Turbo Worldgorger Dragon deck. That absurd TOP. What is TOP? Terror Peaks and Worldgorger Dragon. Basically says you resolve the original line, no terror line. You evolve the original line, no terror line. Yes, Bissy. Flowers to Bissy. Because of the exclusion of Moritte and the inclusion of Miirym, me and Bissy, bro. All right, side story. I'm gonna cut this out the YouTube video because I just gotta tell y'all. I had a frustration moment because my homie Bissy said this is a great deck in theory, and because he was brewing as well, but there's a problem. Terror of the Peaks is a weak point to the deck, because if they remove your Terror of the Peaks, how do you win? And yes, you could just add Scourge and Valkas, but then it's just like, what do you do? Like, do you really want to add more dead dragons to the list? I was looking like, shit, you're right, bro. And this was when I was still in Breach. That's why I still ran Breach. And when I took Breach out, I was in a conundrum. And so I ended up calling up Bissy one day. I'm like, bro, remember that problem you brought up? I can't find a solution. And we came together and found a whole unique line. But like I said, once I wriggled up Feared, I learned how weak the deck is naturally to a Gravedigger's Cage. That's where Miirym came in, and then it caused the evolution of that. What happens if Terror of the Peaks gets taken away? Because notably, if you all don't notice, we had a free tutor that we didn't use to get this Mox Diamond. Say for some God-given reason, your Terror of the Peaks is not available to you. All you gotta do is use that last tutor you used to go get Orcish Bowmasters, and the same exact thing happens, because it's infinitely flickering your entire board, and you're making infinite mana as well. It's just, this is so much fun. All right, we got to go back to combo lines though. We have to go back to combo lines because we are not finished. That was just the first combo line. All right, like I said, that is just literally, you have it with no additional mana. You have a Broodlord ETB on the stack, and it's over. Conversation's over. Game's over. All right, so then let's restart and let's do another situation. Let's move all this to the library. And let's say, for example, we have two different Dream Hall lines, okay? So these Dream Hall lines are basically stating that I have Dream Halls on the board and I have one card of any color in my hand, all right? So we're just gonna say any color. We're gonna close and shuffle. All right, this card is any color. We're gonna turn this over and it's right here, all right? I'm going to denote cards that I discard by turning them sideways under that card, all right? So it does, so say we have 0 cards left in hand. Usually we want to have 1 piece of protection, but for the example, you only need Dream Halls plus 1 card of any color in your hand. You're going to start off by casting Tiamat from hand, by discarding any card that has a color, all right? Because Tiamat's all 5 colors. The Tiamat, this is to the Dream Hall's ability. Once again, it says rather than pay the mana for a spell, its controller may discard a card that shares the color with the spell. So then Tiamat ETB goes in the stack, and the first combo we're going to go over, there's 2 different lines depending on whether your Worldgorger Dragon gets taken away from you or your Saw and a Half gets taken away from you. So for this first line, we're going to say, let's go through the combo where it's most useful in situations where your Worldgorger Dragon is no longer available to you, okay? So say if people say, oh, I know what TTC is going to do. I'm going to exile your Worldgorger Dragon. I'm going to get you. Okay. In that situation, what I'm going to do is I say, okay, there's no problem. Worldgorger Dragon is gone. You got me. You got me. All right. Still turbo. I'm gonna go get Terror of the Peaks, Horde of Broodlord. I'm gonna go get let's see. Where's my guy at? I'm gonna go get I'm gonna go, where's my guy at? Yeah, Miirym, Sentinel Wyrm. I'm gonna go get Bladewing the Risen, and I'm going to go get Dragonlord Dramoka. Okay, and in this situation, we don't have a Worldgorger Dragon because it's not available to us, or for example, we don't want to do the infinite flickers of our entire board. All right, we close and shuffle that up. We add these five dragons to our hand, and what we're going to start off by doing is we start off by saying if we have a white or a green card available to us, we're going to go ahead and just discard it to cast Dragonlord Dramoka from hand. In this example, we're going to say, though, we have no cards left in hand and we know our opponents don't have any interaction because it's like turn 2, okay? But we could still end the combo line with protection, and we'll get to that point. Just trust the process. We're going to start off, we're going to cast the Miirym Sentinel Wyrm by discarding the Terror of the Peaks, all right? Terror of the Peaks gets discarded, and this will go to our graveyard, all right? Now each dragon is going to double. All right, so now we're going to cast the Bladewing the Risen by discarding the Hoarding Broodlord. This will trigger Miirym Sentinel Wyrm and itself. We're going to go ahead and resolve first the Miirym Sentinel, making a token copy, putting another ETB on the stack. The token ETB is going to go grab this Terror of the Peaks, and then that's going to put another trigger on the stack. We're going to add a we're going to go ahead and make 2 copies of these. Once again, I'm going to start ignoring all these Terror of the Peaks triggers because they're going to be a lot of them, but they're insignificant because we're going to go infinite at the end of this. But just know at the end of the day, it don't matter. All right, that's going to bring back the Terror of the Peaks. It makes a copy. This copy will trigger the original. All right, but then we still have the original Bladewing the Risen combo. Copy, and we're going to bring back Hoarding Broodlord. That Hoarding Broodlord is going to bring back right here. It's going to not bring back, but it's going to make a copy of itself because of Miirym, and it's going to have the ETE plus the token. So we're going to resolve the original one. We're going to get Saw in Half from our library. Oop, Saw in Half goes to exile face down. All right, we'll put it right here. And then we're also going to have the original Saw in Half. We'll have the original Hoarding Broodlord. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow, brother. We're going to have the original Hoarding the Broodlord, and this is where we get a little cheeky. Okay, we're gonna go get Demonic Tutor. All right, because if you remember correctly, Hoarding Broodlord puts cards into exile. Okay, and unfortunately that doesn't put the card in the hand, so we can't cast this Dragonlord Dramoka using a white card we get from exile. Now we know that we could go directly to go get Silence, but say for example we want to be fancy and go get just cast the Dragonlord Dramoka. All right, so what we'll do starting off, before we go into our combo, we're gonna cast the Demonic Tutor, put that into the graveyard. We're going to go then follow that up by going getting any white card. We're going to get Replenish. It does not matter. The Replenish goes to our hand, and now we can discard the Replenish to cast the Dragonlord Dramoka. Say if we still want to be protected the TTC way, okay? Then we just follow this up now that we have our Silence effect active to present our combo. We will then just tap these 3 creatures right here. In 3 creatures work. We're going to Saw in Half the original Bladewing the Risen. That will destroy it and make 2 legendary copies right here. Make 2 legendary copies right here. Boom, boom. The original will go to the graveyard as well as the Saw in Half. And notably, because these are legendaries, the legendary rule, which is a state-based action, goes off, and this goes away. Okay, so one of the tokens will go away, but because of the state-based action of killing both, the original Bladewing is still available to us to bring back with this ETB. So then the Bladewing, well, the first one is easy because it gets destroyed, but now we bring back the original Bladewing again, and this is where the point I come up. Both Bladewings are going to come back because this Bladewing is bringing back the original, and what you're going to do is the legendary rule is going to happen again. The state-based action is going to send the original one back to the graveyard, and you can then use its own ETB to bring itself back because it do state-based actions. This is one of the rulings where it didn't make sense to me until I looked it up a little bit deeper, but that is how it works. And you're basically going to be infinitely looping this right here, and the entire time it would trigger both Hoarding Broodlords, the entire combo. Notably, this was all possible from 1 color card plus Tiamat. All right, Any questions for let's see. Miirym is just let's see. Yep, state big actions kill one of the Bladewings. Let's see. Bissy says state bait actions kill one of the Bladewings. Yes, 100%. Non-legend from Miirym. Yes, sick. Miirym is just broken. Yes, I'm surprised I'm not seeing anyone playing this, but maybe they will after this stream. We'll see. And we have Bissy say can't terror shoot Bladewing. The other shoot the face Bladewing copy. Technically, let's see. He's saying that if we have 2 Tear the Peaks, when the original Bladewing enters, wait, I don't think so, because we want to loop it infinitely. So I think we still have to use the legendary rule effect to loop the original one by itself. But if I misunderstood, let me know. For the ETBs, yes, Bladewing copies brings OG Bladewing. The Miirym trigger terror copy trigger repeat. Never mind. He literally just explained it, sort of. Oh, I tried to hated out the game. Lois says I tried to bring Miirym, but got hated out the game. I'm sorry I had that experience. Bissy, I want you to drop this into the TC community chat. I think you may be onto something. I think it's like a redundant thing where either works, but if there is an alternate way where the same thing can get done, if not simpler, please drop that in the TC community in the Tiamat thread, because I think you're onto something here. All right, but like I said, this full combo we just did by casting Dream Halls with 1 card in hand, and it just has to be a colored card. All right, so we're gonna do all this again, but we're gonna do one more combo line. But say, for example, our Saw in Half is not available to us, okay? For whatever God-given reason, all right? And it's gonna be similar to the Dracogenesis, so I'm gonna speed through the Dracogenesis, but for whatever reason, our Saw in Half is not available to us, for whatever reason. So we're gonna restart this last combo line. People, last combo line. Let's drop some last combo lines into the chat. We're gonna start off one more time again with Dream Halls, all right? We got Dream Halls and we got a Dream, all right? We're just going to have Dream Halls and 1 card in hand. We're going to put it face down. Let's see. Turn it over. All right, Dream Halls is on board, and we also have Tiamat, and we're just going to go ahead and cast it the same process. This time, Saw in Half is not available to us. We're still going to get Bladewing the Reason, but we're going to finish things out a little bit differently. What we're going to do is we're going to go get the Worldgorger Dragon. We're going to go get the Hoarding Broodlord. We're going to go get the let's see where is the other dragons at? The Miirym Sentinel Worm and the Bladewing the Risen. And then we're also going to get the last dragon we're going to get is our lovely Tear of the Peaks. Okay, and these are our 5 dragons we're going to get. I'm loving it. We're going to start off the same exact way. We're going to discard our Tear of the Peaks to cast the Miirym. We are then going to also discard our Hoarding our Bladewing the Risen to discard our Hoarding Broodlord, and same thing, it will make 2 copies of Bladewing the Risen. I'm gonna be honest, I gotta make sure I remember this one. I was in the bag with these combos. The original ETB is gonna do the same thing as earlier. We're gonna bring back, with the copy ETB is gonna bring back the Tear of the Peaks purse, and we're also gonna bring back the Hoarding Broodlord, which is gonna get us 2 cards. All right. So, not a counter. We're gonna make a copy, and this is where it gets a little bit techie. The problem we have to solve, and you all may figure it out. Drop in the chat if you already do. We have a Worldgorger Dragon in hand that we want to cast for free, but we do not have a way to cast for free. Now, in this example, we could just go get the Dracogenesis plus the Burnt Offering, and that is one path. But say if we just want to stick it out with Dream Hall, say if our Dracogenesis is gone and our Saw in Half is gone. What we choose to do is we get 2 spells. First spell we go get is a silence, because TDC loves to always have a silence, and we're also going to get Demonic Tutor. All right. First, and these cards are both face down in exile. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and tap. Oh, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and tap my Tiamat to cast this silence, just to make sure, because at this point, other than the Dream Halls, I haven't cast any non-creature spells. So say if they've been waiting for a non-creature spell to counter, Here's your opportunity, kids. So we like, if this is the one counterspell, we at least bait the counterspell out, or we make sure if they're, for whatever God-given reason, I don't know what they're thinking, whatever it is, we just cast off this silence just to be safe. Silence is then resolves. All right, cool. Then we cast this demonic tutor, cast a demonic tutor, and then we put any red card into our hand. For example, we would just put a red elemental blast in hand. It does not matter. That means we can discard the red elemental blast to cast our Worldgorger dragon, and that starts the same combo that we referred to for our Saw in Half plus Dracogenesis or Hoarding Broodlord line to do Dracogenesis, and that's the same combo with infinite ETBs finished off with Terror of the Peaks. Now, there probably are some variants where, say, if we want to go get the Silence Dragon instead, we could, but notably we decided not to get the Silence Dragon because, like I said, this combo notably flickers your whole board, meaning a Voice of Victory or your Dragon Lord Jamoka will not protect yourself during this combo. I always just like to get the silence effect, because once I actually start my combo, I don't want to give them a window to say, oh, now I got you, I'm going to exile your whole board. I just say, hey, let's just end everything nice and safe. So let's check the chat first. Let's see if we have any other questions. We have Noble saying this deck honestly plays almost like a Yu-Gi-Oh deck to me. Yeah, it does. Bitsy says tutor chains be like that. Noble says it is a lot of chaining. Yes. Newsom says no, we got a Ragavan if I get to this state. We getting Ragavan if I get to this state. Oh yeah, I want to do some Tiamat BS. Yeah, I can fuck with getting a Ragavan. I fuck with that. Or like yeah. But at this y'all are hilarious. But yes, that is our combo lines. Like, thank you all so much for sitting through it. Give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause. We made it through of all of TTC's combo lines. And like I said, if you are interested in seeing these combo lines written out and you just say, T, I missed it, or T, what was that combo line again? Or you're in the middle of the game, you can't watch a video, go ahead, check out my primer. I break down all of these primers, all these combo lines, as well as some weaknesses that they have. Just all up in the primer, and that's all the information you need, so please don't hesitate to come here. So with that said, that is how the deck looks to win, but we got to get to the win. We got to, like, I could talk all day about, oh, it's good at this and good at this and good at this, but before we get to all that, we got to figure out, like, T, what's our tutor package? Like, dude, like, I love that you got all these combo lines, and I'm scared of your deck now, but like, how do we actually get to these turn 2, turn 3 wins that we're talking about? Don't worry, I got you, brother. I got you, brother. Well, I've got you, brother and sis. I got you. So check this out. Like I said, we already started off with our dragons. We talked about that. We also talked about our win cons, our finishers, all these other things. Oh, and notably, I do want to bring up one thing before we bring up tutors. We have 2 instant speed win lines with this deck, notably leveraging our necromancy and Worldgorger dragon. A weakness that I found in the deck is I want to eventually add Born, but we're not playing Born Upon the Wind, and we're not playing Or Valley Floodcaller. And if I were to choose, I would choose Born Upon the Wind, because then we can like Born, make everything minute with Worldgorger Dragon, then cast our Tiamat, do all that instant speed. But right now we're not on it, because I usually like to get my 99 solid and then find that extra card that's like, this can go. And then I'll add in Born Upon the Wind, because I want to get my 99 strong, because whatever I'm trying to flash in and win with, I want that to be strong. But in the meantime, say if I am drawn out in that long mid-range hell, it's still good to search your deck for ways to still be able to win at instant speed. So first of all, we have this simple combo, Necromancy plus Worldgorger Dragon and an Undercity Sewers. As long as we have a Thassa's Oracle in our library still, we can mill it over and then bring back the Thassa's. And because Necromancy can be cast at flash speed, the entire combo can happen in this instant speed. So you're not completely effed if you don't win early. You can still win in the flash speed meta. Granted, the other decks are going to be better at it because they have all of the flash speed enablers, but we still got something. So this is 4 mana, Entomb plus Necromancy, win at instant speed, or 5 mana if you want to add in a Veil or a Silence. So super simple late game. All right. And we also have the same thing, Necromancy plus Worldgorger Dragon, and we want to have OBM either already on board or in hand too. Once we make our infinite mana, we can cast the OBM from hand and do infinite ping. So I just want to bring these up as ways to win at instant speed. I did not ignore it. It's just not the priority. I'm trying to still work on honing the 99. But we got to get to this point. How do we get to this point? Let's talk about our tutors, all right? Simple tutor package. Demonic Tutor, Diabolic Tick, and Lion Tutor, Entomb. We have our, like I said, we have our Entomb effects being Unmarked Grave, Entomb, Lively Dirge, super simple. Hoarding Broodlord, I count as a tutor, but it's not usually one I like to cast from hand too often. We are running Imperial Seal, Vampiric. Tainted Pact is that forbidden tutor that I'm okay with, because you can stop at a card if you're not really favorable. Choosing to run Mystical Tutor, White Whale-Claw Talisman. I love this one, and I do want to bring it with Diabolic Intent. I brought up earlier that I'm not playing Culling the Weak because of the creature count. I'm okay with Diabolic Intent only because there's some very niche lines where I can do something like Lively Dirge for a Treasonous Ogre with 1 mana still open, and then use float all my red mana with the Treasonous, and then use Diabolic Intent to still be able to go get my Dracogenesis and do all this chaining stuff. So even though Diabolic Intent, there is some times where I draw it, it's not doing anything. I still wanted to, I chose to run this one over a Grim Tutor because it is 2 mana versus the 3. So there may be some hands in some games where it doesn't do anything, but usually by turn 2 or 3, I can get one of my small creatures out, whether it be a Mana Dork, and just helps get, or Esper Sentinel or whatever, not to help get the job done. And notably, we already talked about it, Limdol's Vault. This card is phenomenal in this deck. It is one of the most hassles to resolve, but because we have so many creative lines to be able to win with just the Dream Halls or just the Dracogenesis, we can literally go piles of 5 and be like, can I win with, like turn 1 Limdol, can I win with this 5 by turn 3? No. Can I win with this 5 by turn 3? And I found you go deep enough, you will find a 5, and it's usually not even like 20. At most, I end up doing like 5 or 6, maybe 7, and I just go 7 or 8 cards, 7 or 8 life, and I just find a pile that's suitable for whatever I'm trying to do, and I just set up that pile, and that's the game. So this is the ultimate like mulligan fixture. This is the ultimate, like, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I think I can put something together. But this takes knowledge of the deck, which is important, because just be honest, I talk to Bissy about this all the time. There's no problem with net decking if that's what you want, but if you really want to get to know a deck, for example, like, I don't suggest you just pick this up and run to a tournament, because it has so many intricate lines that you will only know if you play test it 1,000, maybe 2,000 times. And I say that astronomical number jokingly, but there's so many times where I'm the brewer and I'm still looking like, okay, how do I make this mull the 5 win on turn 2? There's something here. I just can't see the line yet. Like, what do I fetch for? Because I have to think of my colors for turn 1, 2, and then I'm like, also about this, but do I get my Surveil in? I'm going for a Worldgorger, but if I get the Surveil, that means I have to have the Chrome Mox do this. And it's so many layered things that work, but then I also think about, okay, what is my chances for drawing a mana source like this? And it's all these little pieces coming together, and Limdol's Vault it rewards you knowing your deck very well. This deck specifically. So love these. These are our tutor package. Notably, I also want to bring up, similar to one of our notable exclusions we talked about earlier was Academy Rector. I would like to bring up that I want to add another tutor to this list, okay? And I don't know what I want to add. I think the list needs one more tutor. I just don't know what I want to add, and I'm opening up the chat, whether it be live chat on Twitch or in the community on YouTube. Let me know what tutor y'all want me to add. But that's the tutor package. Let's move on to our next category, which be, I know you tutor cards, but how's your card draw package? And I'm here to tell you that it sucks. We're gonna skip this category because it's not important. Our card draw package sucks, and I say it sucks comparatively to our normal decks that have somewhere between like 8 to 12 things that like draw cards in some aspect. Of course, we're running Esper, Mystic, Ristic, but our Surveil land, I count that as some type of card advantage, because you kind of like, oh, like I'm gonna get, it's like, I love their joke, it's a time warp, play to win, it's a time warp, you just get past that bad card. I'm looking for a land, top card, it's a land, or I'm gonna keep it there, or like I talked about, you can entomb certain things with top deck instant speed tutors, and Veil of Summer has a draw, but we really don't have a lot of card draw because we're not trying to draw our decks out over a mid-range. We're trying to be explosive with our tutors. But these card draw engines are so good. In those instances that we go to a low mull, I'm okay with just keeping these and leaning on them like a mid-range deck, similar to what you'll see Rockside decks go to. And they're like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is Rockside, but the same mindset of like, all right, man, I went down low, could not find anything. I'm just going to go ahead and keep this fish or this Ristic study. Nice and simple. All right. The card draw is super small. With that being said, the next category that I always love talking about is our removal and interaction package. Light but heavy. It's in a beautiful spot. We'll say it like that. All right. Abrupt Decay is a new include. Offer is ramp and removal. Pretty standard. We got some one singular piece of graveyard hate here. You'll notice that I'm running both MDFCs, Fell the Profane and Sink into Super. Fell the Profane, notably because I usually like running one MDFC in my list, and I choose Fell the Profane first because I'm like, all right, removal for the Dranith, removal for the Worldgorger Dragon. If I don't have a creature in the graveyard, I can kill my own Worldgorger Dragon to stop the loop. And also it's just, if I'm in a long drawn out game, I don't mind like having more spells to do more action with. But we also have Sink in the Stupor because once I learned how weak the deck can be to Gravedigger's Cage, I just wanted that extra removal. And like I said, it's 3 mana, but if they stop me early game, I'm just gonna be patient. I'm just waiting for my window. And if y'all want to know one thing TTC is good at, it's good at being patient. I'm good at that, baby. All right. Res removal package is pretty standard. Flusterstorm, Force of Will. We're notably not running Force of Negation. We are not winning on our opponent's turn. Most often we're winning on our turn. So I don't care about stopping their spells. I want to do my own thing. And in place of that, we're also running stuff like Miscast and Spell Pierce because people's mana situations are usually a little bit more tight early game. All right. A notable include is I'm playing Guttural Response, counter target blue spell, all right, blue instant spell, all right. This is the niches of the niches of the niches of the niches points of interaction. And a lot of times people ask me, dude, why are you running this? You're not even running this spell. Like, this spell hits any instant spell. Why are you running Guttural Response? The reason I'm running Guttural Response is when I was first testing out this list, I would find so many times I would have a spare Spirit Guide in hand, being red or green, or I would just have a red or green mana just left available to me when I'm pushing for my combo. And I was looking at all the different pieces of interaction. Like, I was already on both Power Blast and Red Elemental Blast. I was already on all the counter spells I wanted. I was on Veil. Tried Autumn's Veil out for a little bit. It was okay. Didn't hit it as well as Veil, but it was something about Guttural Response. I thought about it. Yes, the black removal spell, the Deadly Relic, it's still a line. Unfortunate. But most of the interaction we navigate in our format is from blue players, especially now post-ban, where it's so popular. And seeing as it, yes, I could put a Dispel in my list, but that means I had to wait one more turn to get that extra blue source open, versus saying, oh, I'm going to tap out completely for this Dream Halls on turn 3 and have my Spirit Guide hand being either an Elvish or a Simian Spirit Guide for this for the Guttural Response. Will sometimes they just have the piece of interaction to stop me? Sure. But on that other time, is there going to be a lot of times where they have a Force Will, where that one person has a Force Negation, where that one person is weighing back with the Mind Break trap on my commander and I have no more mana open? Yes, those are a lot of times where I'm finding in my actual games or even in my test games, like, I'm literally set up and Guttural Response is great. So am I saying this is a cEDH staple? Fuck no. No, it is not. But is it something that I really think could sit well in a turbo deck against a lot of blue pots that we sit a lot? Yes, I do. And so I'm trying it out. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a staple for even the list. It's something that I'm serious, very serious about, really wanting to give it its full energy and like just full depth of like giving it the time it deserves, because it just, I kid you not, you'll find so many times with this list you'll have one red mana or one green mana open, and this is exactly what, like, I'll look at the piece of interaction in hand, I can't cast it, but I could cast a Guttural Response, and I just think about, what do I have to play around? Yes, there are people who can play a Silence. Yes, there are people who could play a Power Blast or whatever not, and they will get me, but most times it's a blue spell. All right, most times we're in a blue meta, so it's a bit of a meta call, but I'm okay with being wrong. We'll play it out. Like I said, mental misstep, miscast, all the other stuff. I count Necromancy as an instant speed piece of interaction because some people will try to bring things out of the graveyard and I can make their spell fizzle by flashing Necromancy and stealing in their own things. I've also had games where I've used Necromancy to, like, they'll remove a Dranith and I'll wait till they tap out all their mana and to cast their thing, and they'll go to, or what happened for, they tapped a Deathrite Shaman as one of their mana sources, and because that uses the stack, I Necromancied with all their mana floating to bring back a Dranith Magistrate that was just killed. And so it's cheeky plays you can do with Necromancy. Bowmasters, can't leave on without it. Like I said, standard, I count Ragavan because you can hit off key cards off people's decks, so that's nice and simple. Saw and a half, not the best removal, but it's still removal in some aspect depending on what I'm trying to remove. It can fizzle targeted abilities and all the other things. Silence, Veil of Summer are pseudo silence and actual silence effects. People forget about this Tinder Wall ability, but notably it does have on it pay a red, sacrifice Tinder Wall. It deals 2 damage to target creature it's blocking. So we can call it, I forgot about it, or a deterrent to making people want to swing into me with their 2 toughness creatures. And I can say, I will just trade this, pay a red. I got the mana open. I ain't got nothing better to do with it. We have Tear the Peaks, late game removal, but it's still removal. Swan Song spell slips, and we've already talked about Sink into Stupor. So all that other stuff is just, like I said, it's a very unique interaction package. It's leaner than a lot of decks, but it's what I'm finding is working right now. And please understand it. When I do the update for this deck, it will be different because I definitely think I do need some more reps with this game, but I do feel comfortable where I'm at right now with this list. All right. Next is board, player, and spell protection and recovery. A lot of this is a lot of our interaction that we've already talked about, but notable some things to bring up is our recursion effects like Bladewing, Animate Dead. We'll get to this defense grid here in a second, but yeah, this is, if you quickly look through, we'll get to the notable additional cards, but it's just basically our interaction spells plus our recursion spells. When it comes to recursion though, this is the category we brushed over quickly, but of course we have our Reanimator enchantments, Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, Lively Dirge. Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, and Necromancy. We also have Bladewing the Risen for our combo lines that we got to talk about, all that fun stuff. We also do have Lively Dirge, is a phenomenal card just to be in the Tomb effect, but you can also grab stuff like Treasonous Ogre to do really explosive stuff with that. It's really fun. Reanimate, I wouldn't argue the best one because it doesn't always work with our Worldgorger Dragon, but it's for Hoarding Broodlord, it is the best one. And of course our lack from Replenish, I've already given flowers, but shout out to Bissy Baxton. He was the first one to put me onto this, and I've already brought up that our Entomb effects like Lively Dirge and Entomb can put our enchantments in the graveyard, and Replenish can bring them back. And that means as low as 5 mana we can win on turn 2. Okay. Next category will be our silence effects and our light silence effects. We are running Dragonlord Dramoka, as we've been showing, silence and Voice of Victory. I was a little hesitant on adding Voice of Victory, not because I didn't think it was strong, but I was trying to be more like focused on I want my own game plan. But what I'm finding, surprisingly, not really surprisingly, is that Voice of Victory is the perfect replacement because this deck just cannot run Grand Abolisher. It cannot run Ranger because those double white pips are really hard. We'll get to it to our sideboard, but I'm not running Plateau and I'm not running Savannah right now. So I'm already taking out a lot of white lands and adding in lands that can add more black in. So this is just one that is just like, I've actually had games where this won me the game. I did. So what am I talking about? So yeah, I love these. My light silence effects is in place of Ranger Captain Eos. I am notably running Defense Grid. People have their feelings about it. What I see is 2 colorless mana on turn 2 to turn 3, and I can win the game, and I hope you have 3 mana open. All right, that's all I see right here. Same with Veil of Summer. It's like a light silence effect. Same with Defense. They can pay 3 mana to get around it. If they have a Mindbreak trap, they can get around this, but sometimes that Veil of Summer can just be like a soft silence because, dang, I wanted to stop you, but either I force a will your Veil or I force a will your Dream Halls, and I can't do both. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that light silence effect. All right. Next section is, though, our stacks and tax section. All right. Before we get here, though, let's check the chat for some questions. Let's see. Noble saying, preach, knowing the deck makes the advantages. Yes, 100%. We got Newsom saying new Green Harmonize. So you don't lose to Worldgorger Dragon Mill. The only problem with the Green Harmonize, and it's actually the reason I'm not running Worldly Tutor. We'll go back to this for a second. We'll go back to our Tutor section. If you see up here to our Tutor section, we're not warning Worldly Tutor. It's because our current creature package, let me just duplicate this. There we go. All right. If you look, and I had to have this come to Jesus moment because I'm like, one of these top deck tutors got to go mystical or worldly. And at first it was mystical, but then I came to the conclusion it had to be worldly. If we're never top deck tutoring for any of our dragons unless it was entombing a Hoarding Broodlord or a Worldgorger Dragon using our Surveil land. And then in addition, when it comes to these other dragons, we're never tutoring those to the top of our library. So we take out of 19 creatures, we take 5 out. That goes down to 13. Oh no, yeah, that goes down. Oh my gosh, goes down to 14. Okay, I've probably been doing that math from the entire time. We go down to 14, then we take out both our spirit guides. That goes down to 12. All right, that's 7 creatures out automatically. Of our remaining creatures, Bowmaster is a good target. Our mana dorks are solid targets, but not really what I want to be using a whole tutor for. That means my best tutor targets are Esper, Treasonous Ogre, Orcish Bowmasters, and Voice of Victory. All right, that's great, but do I really want a whole tutor slot for those 4 creatures? I was like, nah. I'm in black. I have Eternal Tutors. I'd rather add a Grim Tutor over a Worldly Tutor. So that's why, like, when I think about the new green tutor, I said nah, because I can't viably get out my big creatures. I really don't want to get out the small creatures. What I like, really what I'm looking for is for enchantment tutors. The reason I want to find a reason to run Academy Rector, or the internal tutors to get my to get my Entomb, like tutor into a tutor, which is not too hard to do. So yeah, that's the reason like I kind of skip past the green tutors for this list, because the creature options are not like the best for green tutors for this list. We also lose he said, so we don't lose to the Worldgorger Dragon Mill. Notably, the Surveil trigger is a May. If you look up what Surveil does, Surveil specifically says, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. So at any time, you can stop the surveilling at any time. If you say, if your opponent, for whatever, if you have an Esper Sentinel on board and you're doing this raw and they don't have a removal spell with that, I can trigger your Esper and make you die. I'm like, okay, fine. Thassus still has a devotion of 2, so I'll just go down till I have 1 card left in my library. I will go ahead and bring back the Thassus and still win. Now there is the problem of like, oh, what if they kill the Thassus? Well, then I keep the Worldgorger Dragon Loop going again to bring. Well, no, at that point the Reanimer Chambers in graveyard. At that point, if they decide to wait to kill the Thassus, then my question goes, why'd you just kill the Worldgorger Dragon? So yeah, that's my whole thing with that. Let's see. And Newsom says, I meant more against Endurance and Angel's Grace. You're saying the new green harmonize against it so you don't lose to Worldgorger Dragon Mill? Well, if they endurance me, okay, I hear what you're saying. If they endurance me, I would just keep. Oh no! If they endurance me with the target, with the changing target targeting, no. The new enchantment, the enchantment will come back. My library is empty. It brings back Thassus ETB on the stack, and then they Worldgorger Dragon me. Oh, you just get me then. But you got to have the endurance on turn 2. That's the only kicker there. You got to have, like, I'm making my opponents have their interaction on turn 2 to turn 3. And then we have, but that is a good point. And they also have Angel Grace. Same thing. Yeah. Like, I think it's the same mindset Roxai has. People play Angel's Grace, and I am one of those people who play Angel's Grace for early Roxai wins. But at the same time, sometimes I don't have it in hand. You know what I'm saying? And they cast a defense grid and all I have in hand is a swan song. You know what I'm saying? And so it comes to it, they made me have it. I didn't have it, unfortunately. And even with those, like, and I just bring up a fight argument for Roxai, they leverage Final Fortune, which is a card I really want to add back into my list, where it says, all right, I can't win this turn, but I was already going to Final Fortune after Gazing my defense grid either way. So then it's just that same argument on top. So I think for this list, Angel's Grace Endurance, phenomenal. Against it. And yeah, it's just, we gonna make them have it. We gonna make it happen for now until I can find a slide for Born and Final Fortune. How is your list positioned versus other common archetypes? That is turn order. What happens when you put 4 turbo decks in a pot that can all win in turn 2? I think my deck is phenomenal in that if I'm turn seat 3 or 4, I'll grab a draw and I'll take a Esper with a piece of interaction for the turn 2 potential win. If I'm turn 1 or turn 2, I'm going for the guys. I'm gonna mulligan as deep as I can where I can present that turn 2 through turn 3 win. I think at that point, like I said, you get 4 turbo decks in a pod, it's about seed order, and that's a roll of a die. And I can't. What you want me to do? I gotta play with loaded dice now? I'm joking with you, but no, that's what I think. At the end of the day, in those common archetypes, you're just gonna be faced with who went ahead. You know, who win it, seed order is just going to matter more than your actual 99 in that case. Where 99 is going to matter, of course. Like Auriok size is, in my opinion, the best turbo deck when it comes to consistently presenting turn 2 to turn 3 wins and having some mid-range resiliency. But when it comes like to the matchup, if I'm going against Roxai, I'm gonna just try to outspeed them. You know what I'm saying? And because I have access to white, I have better silence effects. Because I have access to green, I would not argue better ramp. I think Roxai has better ramp because they have rocks, so they can run the red rituals or black rituals that let them sack their 0 mana commander. But I do argue us having green allows us to go like literally turn 1 dork into a turn 2 explosive when using very unique lines. Yeah, so that's what I think when it comes to that question. Very good question, Bissy. All right, but we gotta finish up that was on our recursion pack, our graveyard recursion, and all the other good things with this list, and our silence effects. Now, lastly is our stacks and tax, as well as graveyard hate. As you can see, it's basically our draw engines, our bowmasters, and our defense grid. We are not looking to stacks out the table, but we have things that are kind of making people tax out a little bit. Of course, we're running bowmasters, and we have this little bit of graveyard hate. With the death right in the long game, you know, you can hit the brain freeze with the first ability. You can hit another opponent's Worldgorger dragon, or you can hit their bowmasters or whatever they're trying to reanimate. You can put a little graveyard hate here and there, but mostly this is used to be a mana dork. Our next category is our ramp category. We pretty much talked about all this. Everything is pretty much known as a standard ramp package. I count Offer as ramp because I can hit my own 0 mana rocks. I count Chain of Vapor as ramp because I can, if I have enough free rocks, I can kind of chain things off like to rebalance it to fix colors. But usually with this deck, because I don't run a crazy amount of rocks, it's not really, but it's kind of case by case. Say if I need a bunch of colors, I can leverage my mana, my Grim Monolith or Mana Vault, but that's a fringe case. Carpet of Flowers is what I'm play testing. I'm not fully bullish on because I do think there's a lot of blue decks in our meta, but as well, what I'm playing around with the idea is don't play Carpet on turn 1 because then you get everybody saying don't play islands. I think Carpet is a great, like, if I'm going seat 4 turn 1, I'll play it, like play it into a dork. But if I'm going seat 1 turn 1, I may not play my Carpet. I'll start off with my birds, for example, and then turn 2, let everybody get their 1 island out. So at least bare minimum, Carpet is making that 1. And by then, they're like turn 2, they have to decide, do I do my game plan or do I worry about Carpet making 2 mana, which can be really tough. So that's where I'm playing around with Carpet, but I'm still seeing if this is something I really want to run. Deathrite Shaman, all the ramps, all the rituals, all the spirit guides, Gemstone Caverns, of course we're on it, get that extra little ramp out. We're mostly not running the Noble Hierarch because white it's a really low color for the deck, and I don't love to see it very often. I want that black and red a little bit more. In place, we are though running Orcish Lumberjack. Just it is tap, sacrifice a forest, add 3 mana of any color combination of red and or green to your mana pool. So straight up to the point, gets the job done. It is a tough one to play with, I'm not gonna lie. Making sure that you have the red mana to cast this plus a green forest to sack to it is harder than it sounds. And there's been plenty of like playtest goldfish games where I'm like, I know there's a win here, but how do I do it? So I either have to start off with a tiger, or like I'll start off like a Valk, turn 2, go into a bayou, and then kind of spread it around like that. But I'm playtesting. I've seen other lists on it. I think it's phenomenal for helping getting your treasonous ogres out, as well as just in some universe you get so much mana plus a Dracogenesis. This can in some universes help push out that Dracogenesis just hard cast from hand. For example, if you get a Dark Cabal with the Mana Vault with the Orcish Lumberjack plus a couple lands and a Dracogenesis, or a top deck tutor to go get your Dracogenesis turn 2, it's a lot of really creative lines you can do with that. So play testing it, not fully sold on it yet, but I feel good. I'm like at the 70-80% confident that this is something I really want to do. Stick with it. Tinderwall is phenomenal. Soul Ring, of course. Rite of Flame, Spirit Guide, Treasonous Ogre we've already talked about. Reign of Filth is a special one that is I want to talk about this one specifically because this was the last switch out for my Breach package, specifically because I kept LED in even when I took Breach out because it was good with the Hoarding Broodlord lines, because you can put it to exile, crack your LED to help cast your Sonhav. The problem is though, you can't hold up interaction then, you know what I'm saying? So what I ended up doing, I kept searching Google, searching Scryfall, searching everywhere, and I said, oh wait, Reign of Filth, basically on turn 3, you tap one of your black sources and it turns your 3 lands from 3 mana into 5 mana, including tapping them and sacking them, which is exactly what I need. It's a dark ritual if you have 3 lands out, and it gets better and better and better as the game goes longer. Granted, we wanted more for turbo reasons, but it's still phenomenal here. So it does the thing. It's all beautiful. It gets the job done. All right. And that's our ramp package. Our last category is our land base. Notably, we have 28 lands. For some reason, one of these lands have not been categorized. I knew it. Yep. Our last land here is the Gemstone Mines. I made some last minute changes to the list, and this will go to our land base. We're a turbo deck. I don't mind if I lose my land. It's all good. Feats the Deathrite Shaman. But this is our land base. Notable inclusions is nothing really crazy to bring up. We pretty much talked about all of our lands. We've talked about our surveil lands. We've talked about our MDFCs. I think it's more important to maybe talk about the exclusions than the inclusions for this list. When it comes to exclusions, you will not see Boseiju who endures. It is the best, in my opinion. It is the best, if not the one of the best ones. But when it came to color fixing and my play testing, I can't go against the data. That singular green, and it's hard to say that when I have two, now that I have two of these MDFCs in, but that singular green was hurting me on the combo turns when I was playtesting. I'm like, if this was a black Fel the Profane or a blue Sing the Super at work, but the Boseiju tapping was like, it hurt. So took it out and playtesting the list felt better. So for now it's out the list, but yes, it does hit Gravedigger's Cage. Yes, it does it does a great job of stopping our opponents, but for now I'm choosing excluded. City of Traders was originally in the list as well. Decided to take it out because I needed more color sources. And I'm also, this is in the sideboard. I'm looking at Command Beacon because what this allows me to do is, in light of a Drannith being on board, I can still go Treasonous Ogre into a Dracogenesis and Command Beacon, but it taps for colorless. So I'm like, I'd rather just add another removal spell than adding Command Beacon. Another land that we're notably not on, we're not on Otawara either. Once again, I'm not saying these cards are bad. These are objectively fantastic cards. But when it comes to what the list actually needs, having that the Stinking Stupor, first of all, because our commander's not going to be on board to give us that cost reduction of 3. The Stinking Stupor can be pitched to our Force of Will because our blue count is already kind of low. Notably, also, it is something that we can find with our Hoarding Broodlord, where, for example, Boseiju and Otawara, if we need a removal spell, we can't Hoarding Broodlord it to exile because we have to discard it as an additional cost. Or on the flip side, our Fel the Profane or Sing the Stupor, say if we're behind our silence effect, but I've had a game where I literally had a game that I won in the TC community where there was a Gravedigger's Cage on board, but this was before I had Miirym, and I had no way to win through a Gravedigger's Cage, and I just missed it. It was a mistake. Oopsie whoopsie, I made a mistake. And what I ended up finding before I had the Miirym is I had a Chain of Vapor in hand, but I knew if I cast my Voice of Victory, but I knew if I chained his thing, he could just send the chain back, and I didn't have a counter spell to stop it. So I found a really unique line to make it happen. But after the game, I was like, all right, I'm glad I found a way to win that game, but I still needed. I need something better to make it happen. And so Singing the Stupor and was really helpful. And I also added Abrupt Decay to help for those situations as well, where in the late game, okay, you drop that turn 1 stacks. I have the win on turn 2, but it's just not a good window. I'm going to Abrupt Decay it later in the game when I'm able to just patience the game out, which I'm really good at, just being patient. I don't have to force any win. No one's holding a gun to my head. But when it comes to last excluded land bases, like I brought up, we're not running Plateau, we're not running Savannah because they have that white. These can become very quickly like terrible top decks because we just need a black source or we just need a blue source, and these are not my favorite. And lastly, the quick switch out that we made right before the stream is we're playtesting this land here, Gemstone Mine over Wooded Foothills. Notably because we took out Savannah and we took out Plateau, there are times where I want to have a white source of mana, for example, for an Esper Sentinel or Enlightened Tutor, but Wooded Foothills now cannot find me any white source, meaning that it's not a true dual, it's not a 5-color land anymore. So I decided, okay, in the game that I was playtesting, I needed it to be a 5-color land, and I did not want to re-add my Savannah or my Plateau in. So I said, I'm gonna go ahead and just take the Wooded Foothills out because it's no Worldgorger 5-color land. And I'm going to add in this gemstone mines and play around with this and see how that plays around. And lastly, notably, I didn't bring this up, but I ended up taking out Plateau for the, either the Fel the, I think I took Plateau out. No, I took both Seiju out for Fel the Profane. I took Plateau out for the Sing of the Stupor, and I took out Savannah for the black-green version of our Shockland being Overgrown Tomb, just to have some more consistency. I still wanted the forest for my Orcish Lumberjack, but I also still wanted the black because that's our highest color, and it just really curves out well over, notably, the Savannah. So reason for the land base, it is ongoing, so please don't, this is not the gospel. If you see this land base, you make some tweaks to the deck, you're gonna have to tweak the land base. You're going to have to. So don't see this as the gospel. This is just TTC's version, and I'm even admitting that there's places where I'm going to have to make some changes in the near future. Okay, so this is not gospel. Okay, our last sections though is our notable categories is just our clone and flicker effects being Miirym and Saw and Half. Nothing large, but knowing that we can make copies of certain creatures or all of our creatures with being Saw and Half in unique situations. So I love that. But now, before we go into our playtest hands, I want to just talk a little bit on the sideboard. If you're wondering like what goes through my head when the cards in sideboard, Abuelo's Awakening is another copy of Replenish. We've already talked about that. Assassin Trophy, just looking at it. These are just all cards I'm looking at. I notably like Bone Shards because you're able to discard cards. So if I draw my Hoarding Broodlord or if I draw my Worldgorger Dragon, I don't have to like discard it to hand or pivot from it. I can just Bone Shards and discard, and I don't care whether it resolves or not. It just gets the job done. I've already told you all I really want to add Born Upon the Wind and or Final Fortune. But I'm just waiting for the list to feel better, and I just got to get more playtest games in for that. Call of the week, thinking about it, I want to add it because I love the explosion of black mana, but there's sometimes where it doesn't do anything, and we're on the one side, I'm okay with Diabolic Intent not do anything. I want my ramp spells to be consistent, and that's why I want to actually add in another tutor to hedge in those situations that Call of the week really can't get the job done. Cyclonic Rift, I have no board wipes in this currently, so I'm trying to Abrupt Decay over Cyclonic Rift, but I still kind of want to have Cyclonic Rift as well. I just kind of like Abrupt Decay's uncounterability a little bit more. Thinking a little bit on days. Deflecting Swat is phenomenal because post getting my Tiamat out, once the ETB's on the stack, I have an active Deflecting Swat, but it's not a priority right now. If you're wondering my chain of switch outs, it went Deflecting Swat to switching to removal spells, and I'm at Abrupt Decay about that. We've already talked about this. Notably, the TC community's already talked about it. I'm not on Destiny Spinner because I'd rather run Voice of Victory instead of Destiny Spinner. This does make my creatures and enchantment spells uncounterable, but what's better than being uncounterable? You can't cast spells. Dismember, I'm looking at that one. Dispel, I'm looking at that one. If I ever decide to get off my Guttural Response, I will be getting on to Dispel. Just right now, Guttural Response has been playtesting a lot better. Elves of D-Shiles, keeping an eye on this one. Final Parting, it's a lot of mana. If I add in Culling the Week, I'll think about Final Parting, same as well as Grim Tutor. If I add in Culling the Week, I'll think a little more on Grim Tutor. This can be a little expensive. Not super, but it's just a little. And this can be a little expensive as well, where it's like you can assemble a Hoarding Broodlord combo with it by itself or Worldgorger Dragon, but it costs 5 mana by itself. So it costs 5 plus a reanimate you put in your hand, and then you'll need 2 more mana if you don't have 2 other creatures to help convoke out your Saw and Half. Or it costs 5 mana plus 2, a minimum of 2 to 3 for your reanimate or enchantment with your Worldgorger Dragon. So that's the reason I'm not owning right now, even though it is basically a 1-card combo for the deck. It's a lot of mana, and maybe I just need to try it out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm tweaking. We'll see. Notably, this also does assemble the... No, I would not want to do Replenish plus this because it'd be 9 mana because 5 plus Replenish if I put my Dracogenesis in the graveyard. But it just feels a little expensive. It's not my first choice. But if you all have any ideas of making this better, or maybe I'm missing something, drop it down in the comment section or inside the chat. Same with Grim Tutor. I want to add it, but it's just kind of like... 3 mana for a tutor that could take out my full turn 2. Sometimes I want to hold up a little some, or like maybe there's a reason why I need more than just that. Like I want to do a demonic tutor plus this. It can be a little clunky, so I'm still play testing it, but I want to add another tutor to the list. Into the Flood Maw doesn't hit my own things, and there's times I want to remove my own Worldgorger Dragon or bounce my own Tiamat during the Dream Halls loops to keep things going. Notably, we've already talked about Moritte. Played around with Molt Tinder for a little bit. I like it, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to be. Talked about Noble Hierarch. Noxious Revival is a phenomenal card because not only is it interaction, for my Hoarding Broodlord combo lines, I can Noxious Revival my Saw and Have back into my deck to be able to re-get it back. But right now it doesn't feel like a priority because I can win with Saw and Have or Worldgorger Dragon. Lastly, Ormschamp. I love science effects. I'm thinking about it. This one also can be a placement for guttural response, but notably our white pip count is going down, so I'm thinking about it. Phyrexian Metamorph is a clone that's for only 3 colors and 2 life. That notably also combos with our Bladewing the Risen because it will make a legendary copy and infinitely come in and out, allowing us to loop the original. But the thing is, though, it's like it's not a need right now. Right now, the front of the line is I want to be able to win more instant speed, or I want to be able to take that instant speed extra turn. But second and third in line, definitely another clone effect. We've already talked about Sevinne's Reclamation. Another tutor I'm looking at, I'm entertaining it, I'm thinking about it, is Sterling Grove. This is a green and a white. Other enchantments you control have Shroud, pay 1 colors and sacrifice Sterling Grove. Search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, and then shuffle your library, put that card on top. So it's not my favorite, but is it like an end step? I'm gonna like it. Drop this turn 2, turn 3. I plan on going Treasonous, or because I got in hand enough mana, I can just I need another mana open, but I can instep, put this on top, and still win on turn 3 with a Treasonous Ogre plus a Dracogenesis. I'm thinking about it, but I'm gonna be honest. I'd rather add in Grim Tutor at that point because I like the protection effect that it has for my Dream Halls or my Rhystic or my Dracogenesis, but the colors are a little awkward. I'd rather have a Dark Ritual to go into the Grim Monolith. Sword to Plowshare is currently not in, choosing to run Abrupt Decay over it. We got Toxic Deluge. If I were to add an Abort Rite, I'd rather add this in because we have a lot of big dragons. We can do beats. We don't really use our life total. Treasonous Ogre is not a game plan that we always stick to. You can hit me all you want. I don't care. I'm just going to win a different way. Vexing Bauble. Looked at this. It notably doesn't work with Dracogenesis or Dream Halls because it will counter our own spells. But getting up to that Dream Halls, it protects the casting of Dream Halls, and then we can switch over to creature spells, which are harder to counter. So I entertained that. We recently added Victimize, and we've already talked about this, and we've already talked about Worldly Tutor. And with that being said, you all have seen the full deck tech. Thank you all for you all being just amazing. We have the full deck tech. What we have left is some playtest hands as well as some gameplay tonight. So stay tuned. But before we get into that, y'all know what I gotta say. If you love the show and you are just looking for more ways to support, we have a plethora. Starting off, like I always say, check out the TC Discord community. It is an amazing community. Honestly, my favorite community, not just because it's my own, but the best community to brew and talk about spoilers. Also to have just amazing high quality games where you have a great game, but you can also have that healthy post-game conversation so we can all be better players. But if you're looking for more ways to support the show, please check out the Thunder Legion Patreon community. These guys get awesome perks like playing on our live streams, shoutouts on our YouTube videos and streams, as well as free proxies and discount codes. I want to give a humongous shout out to our first Is It tier patron, The Praetor, as well as our mono red tier patrons, Wavy Ashura, Bissy Baxton, and B-Rad. These guys rock, and they keep the lights on the way that they could not imagine. But last but not least, you say, hey T, I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, or the perks. I just want to say one time for the fun time that I love what you do and I want to support you. No problem. Check the link down in the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that said, let's run some playtest hands, y'all. Come on. All right, we're gonna use the playtest feature down here. I'm going to run a D4. If y'all can beat me to it, I'll let y'all choose the 4 decks. Quick, people, drop 3 decks down below. It's me, and I'm gonna find a seat, and I'll choose a seat order. But y'all quickly drop 3 decks down below. Your favorite 3 decks that you want to add within the meta, though. Within the meta. I'm gonna roll a D8. I got a 1, so I'm going first. Okay. We got 3 decks. We got 5 colors. Sisay's 1. All right. So we'll say Glarb, and we got Give me one more, Biss. Give me one more. Pentlaza. Ooh. Okay, all right. We'll let Rockstar choose the next one. So let's say for this first pod, it's TTC going first. We got 5 colors to say going second. We got Glarb going third, and Pentlaza going fourth. Okay. We're gonna just go ahead and deal a new hand. We're going first. We're gonna look at our first 7. All right. So this is an interesting hand. What I see is 3 lands. a Rain of Filth, a Vampiric Tutor, a Unmarked Grave, and a Worldgorger Dragon. Okay, so I'm going to tell you positives, I'm going to tell you negatives. What we're looking for these hands, as I brought you before, is we're looking for mana, acceleration, as well as a tutor. At least one tutor, because we can always just go Dream Halls. And this one is actually pretty good. The Rain of Filth is setting us up perfectly for that turn 3 Dream Halls. So what we see here is like we play land. We can start off even with like a Surveil if we wanted to. All right, so we just start off like we could go like, all right, start off with Surveil, because now we're digging for interaction. So our start off with that Surveil, we got the underground scene, we got the exotic. So then turn 3 we can go tap 1 land for a Rain of Filth to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, tap 2 and then sacrifice these 3. That's 5 mana. We're all in at that point for the Dream Halls, and notably this is a Vampiric Tutor turn 1. But then at this point, what we're looking for is like a Pact of Negation or maybe some acceleration along with some other thing. We're at this point where we see a turn 3 win, but I want to find a way to make it a protected turn 3 win, because I said turn 2 unprotected, turn 3 protected. So I would keep this hand, this first 7, but I would want to start off with a Surveil land to see if we can dig deeper, because the Vampiric turn 2 can always get that, but we have 2 draws to find some interaction, hopefully some free interaction. And notably the Unmarked Grave is not needed, and the Worldgorger Dragon. It's really just a hand of 5, and it just gets the job done. But also because we're going Dream Halls, we do want to we already have our 1 color card as well, so that's also a good thing as well. All right, so let's just quickly play test it. All right, we'll discard. We'll draw our first card for turn. I like to play test these hands out because it's actually pretty quick. Like I said, we drew a scrub land. It's not my favorite thing, but it's okay. We'll go ahead and we'll play the Flooded Strand. Go ahead and get a Undercity Sewers, and we'll go ahead and we're just digging at this point. We'll just shuffle, make sure this is shuffled up, and we'll look at the top card. It's a Diabolic Intent. Good, we got past that. We already have everything we need, and we're gonna just go ahead and go to turn 2. I see a Spell Pierce. Okay, it's not good nor bad. It means that we can protect our Vampiric Tutor, but we still are not in the position to protect our win. So we're looking a little bit more of like, if we want to win protected, like this is where we gauge the table. Like Glarb can be a turbo deck, I've seen it, but also most is a mid-range deck. Pantlaza is like, I'm doing my own thing, I'm trying to food chain off. 5 color Sisay, this is the wild card. Are they Clam Chowder? Are they like Sisay stuff? Like, what is the pot looking like? We are going first though, so what we expect to see from people, if we see this, is they choose their turn 1 and turn 2 to develop dorks and develop a draw engine. If I see that, then I'm more engaged to say I'm going to push for a turn 3 unprotected. But because the longer we wait, if I try to wait till turn 3 to Spell Pierce, okay, if I were to turn 4 to hold up Spell Pierce, not only will they have the mana up to push with it, it also just puts me in the position to be like, this may not be a good window, because now they've drawn more cards from the Rhystic Espers, Fishes, or whatever not, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever Pantlaza decides to do, wheel us and throw all this hand away. So what I would do is just, this is turn 2. I would go ahead and add, I'll just push out this E-Orchard. We got a 5 color Sisay on board, so we're just gonna say it makes 5 colors. Like I said, we're just, at this point, we just go Vampiric, protected with this Spell Pierce, and then we would just go get Dream Halls. All right, that put that on top. We lose 2 life, no biggie. And then we go to our turn 3. We can play at Scrubland, and at this point we have a choice. This is where the pod and is all in the moment. This one, technically, and I have to be transparent, this is not a success for the deck. This is where TDC is saying I am honing the deck. This is not a success for the deck, unfortunately, because yes, I can make 5 mana by getting that Rain of Filth. That's tap, tap, sack, sack, sack. That's 5 mana for Dream Halls. And I even do have the Scarred spells, but now I'm looking at my hand. I'm like, okay, I have a protection spell in hand. And if I had another blue card, yeah, I could technically, if I had another blue card, I could hold up Spell Pierce to protect it, but I don't have another blue card in hand. So then this is where I go in my head. I'm like, all right, do I need to switch a card out? Like, do I need to take one of these lands out? Maybe Well, I don't really want to, but I've been thinking about going down to 27 lands, and maybe this could help give me inspiration for what land to go to. Another thing is like, oh, should a Markgrave be something else? Like, but I like in Markgrave, and Worldgorger Dragon's part of our combo. So this is, though it is a success, it is a turn 3 win. It is not a turn 3 win that I usually would feel comfortable to push, because it is Dream Halls and it's this. So I'm not going to call it a failure. I'm just going to say this is not the deck, the hand that I would try to go turbo with. At this point, what I actually would do in an actual game is I see at this, and this is my mindset, at this point, I'm set to win at any time. You know what I'm saying? This means that I have, at this point, I have another tutor. So if I draw a reanimation effect, I could set up for maybe going like really explosive. Like say if I draw a reanimate, I could go, all right, tap this to get the Rain of Filth out, entomb my voice of victory, protected, or probably would tap it this way, doesn't matter, entomb it, sack for this, and then hold up this blue mana for this to do something really where we can maybe get up a voice of victory or whatever. Not like, basically what we're doing is I'm gonna be patient depending on what the pod is feeling like. If someone already tried to push, say Pantlaza tried already, I'm gonna push. Or if everybody's completely tapped out and I feel really good, maybe. But like I said, Dream Halls with no protection, I gotta be in the game to really tell. So that's my conclusion for this one. We're gonna play test one more hand. It's like I said, this wasn't a terrible hand, but that was not what we're looking for from the deck. And that even tells me now, you gotta keep honing, or maybe my mulligan could a bit deeper. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go to a second 7. We got from the pod, we got Derevi or first let me roll for my D8. Oh, excuse me. All right, roll the D8. We got an 8 this time, so we're going 4th. We got a Derevi, an Orvar, and a Kinnan in the pod. So we're going to say Derevi's going 1st, Orvar is going 2nd, and Kinnan is going 3rd. We're going 4th. So 4th seat is an interesting position. Turn 3 protect is because if they get the heuristic out for turn 2, they're untapped in turn 3, and everyone potentially has men up unless they get greedy. Whether they know we're a turbo deck or not, we are in the view position. We're 5 colors. So we can take a Ristic Study or Esper hand, or we can see the gas hand that wins on turn 2. That I would still push on turn 2 C4. So let's see our first 7C, and it's not what are we digging for. At 4th seat, we're saying, is this viable for the pod we're in? I'm gonna see what I can make her work. So let's see a first 7. We have land, Felwar, Offer, Ristic, Dream Halls, Pyroblast. Okay. Pyroblast until we get a Felwar Stone out. We have a Derevi, Orvar, and Kinnan out. There's no one who's going to be tapping for red unless they play a Gemstones or a 5 color, unless they play Gemstones or one of their 5 color lands. Orvar is not going to be playing a 5 color land, and Kinnan and Derevi may. They actually are. Seat 4, turn 3 Ristic, no bueno. I do like the Offer turn 1 to maybe hold it up, but we're not controllers. So, and I do like seeing Dream Halls, but once again, unless I can get that bug out turn 2, we have nothing to talk about. So I'm gonna deal another hand. All right, deal hand number 2. I like this. It is a Polluted Delta, a Soul Ring, a Singular Super, Voice of Victory, Rain of Filth, Demonic Tutor, and Mystic Remora. I absolutely love this hand. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking about it. I'm going to go ahead and just go to the playtest feature to tell you all what I'm thinking about. So, like I said, the hand is looking for at least 1 tutor, and we're looking for, we're looking for at least 1 tutor, and we're also looking for a ramp. So I see here mana, that's our lands, that's our first 2 lands. We have the Soul Ring. We also have a tutor with being Demonic Tutor, and we also have even more ramp with Rain of Filth, which is phenomenal with Demonic Tutor. And we also have our protection. We're fully loaded out here with Voice of Victory, all right, which is also a creature, so it's hard to interact with. And we also have a Mystic Remora, okay? This hand, when I see this is a phenomenal hand to go turn 1 Soul Ring, turn 1 Voice of Victory into a turn 2 fish. Turn 1 Soul Ring, turn into a turn 2 Voice of Victory for a protected fish. Draw as many cards as we can. this is where hoping comes in. Hope that our Voice of Victory doesn't get removed. If they don't remove our Voice of Victory in our turn for whatever reason, if they just don't have it, sometimes you have to make them have it. And sometimes they don't. I've been in plenty of games where someone has dropped a turn 2 Grand Abolisher and we're just looking like, I ain't got to do, you got it. I ain't got to do, you got it. I'm like, all right, well, if you got it this turn, you got it. And they won't have it because they won't be a turbo deck or whatever not. But I think this is a phenomenal hand because I have to do the math real quick. You're going to see TTC talk about the math side of the game. If I were to go land, Soul Ring, and this would be either, it has to be a white source because I want to be able to cast my Voice of Victory. So we're either talking about a Tundra or a Scrub land. Because it's a blue, it has to be a black source so I can still cast my Rain of Filth. So it has to be a Scrub land. So I'm seeing Scrub land, Soul Ring, and then turn to Sink of the Stupor into a Voice of Victory, into a Fish. We hope to draw a few cards off. Really, we want is another land drop. All we really need to make this hand good is we need enough mana to be able to go Demonic Tutor into what's it called? Demonic Tutor into a Dream Halls with 1 extra card in hand. You know what I'm saying? Which we hope the Mystic Remore can get is that 1 extra color card. And that's just a turn 3 Random Filth in my tutor. So this is, when I see this second 7, this is what I've lined out into my hand. This is where I'm saying this is what I'm trying to do. All right. So we're going to draw the first card for turn. It is another piece of ramp, which makes me even happier. The tough thing is though, it's not a green source. So then what I'm telling myself is I hope to draw a green source off this Mystic Remore. My parents, not my parents, my opponents don't know that. So I'm going to put all this into my hand just to show you all a quick play test. I'm going to crack this fetch immediately, losing a life, to go get a Scrub land and go cast the Soul Ring. All right. All right. Where did the Soul? Oh, not the Soul Ring, Scrub land. All right. Scrub land, tap it, cast a Soul Ring. All right. And make sure this is shuffled. I'm just going to hit that shuffle button again. Then we're going to turn 2. We got a Bowmasters. All right, we're looking for a green source of mana, so I'm going to do exactly what I talked about before. I'm going to play this Sink of Stupor, losing 3 life, and I'm going to tap this floating 1 colors to cast my Voice of Victory. Oh, they waste the force. All right, whatever. We really want to get out this Mystic Remora. I'm going to roll a d4 to see how many we draw, and it's a 4. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, and we ended up drawing a lot more ramp. I don't see any green sources. Oh no, we have Arcane Signet. So then comes the math portion of the game where we're saying we made them have it. We're just going to talk about Dreamland. I could do rolls for did my Voice of Victory stay on board? Do I want to keep Fish and keep playing for Fish in case I get stopped? But we'll do some quick math. This is what I'm seeing. I see a Chrome Mox right here. I don't want to get rid of Saw in Half because that can be part of our combo. I know for sure I want a Rain of Filth. Rain of Filth, unfortunately, only makes 2 additional mana because we only have 2 additional lands. That's not what I'm in love with. And also, let's see. I wish we had a green source right now because that Tinder Wall can give us a little bit more explosion. What we're basically looking for is can we make 7 mana on our next turn? So we can tap this for a Rain of Filth. We'd have to do Chrome Mox because we'd need to get rid of the Force of Will to go get a Dream Halls because that's what we're trying for. So it'd be tap this Rain of Filth, tap this for blue, tap this. It'd be so I think it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're down on 1 mana. So this is the question: do we keep Fish or do we see if we draw land? Because we haven't drawn a land yet, so we can gamble it. I'm going to say, because yeah, like I said, we pay 1 black for the Rain of Filth, and we sack 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need a 7 mana. We really need a green source of mana. Notably, if this if this was a fetch land, maybe this could be a green blue source. But like, what is this? If this was what was the Singing the Stupor? Took out Plateau for Singing the Stupor, so that wouldn't help us. So let's just see. Honestly, in this pod of a Derevi, Orvar, and Kennen, I don't think I'm gonna make it out if I try to wait. So I'm gonna let the Fish go, and it's a Badlands, which unfortunately it's a blessing and the curse. It's not a green source, but it's another land to make our Rain of Filth better. So that was a good gamble on our side. Like I said, we could talk about the politics of did they kill it or not, it doesn't matter. We're just going to say it's okay, and we're just going to say it's Dreamland, but because we wanted to see the effectiveness of the deck. So I'm also going to go ahead and cast this Chrome Mox, pitching this blue source. So what this looks like is we're going to go ahead and tap. We'll just tap this actually. I'll tell y'all that a little bit later. We'll cast this Rain and Filth, all of our lands now are the swamps. We will let's go tap floating a blue. Let's go and show mana track. We'll tap float a blue. We'll sack these 2 land. Well, no, actually, I don't need to. I can start using colors. I don't have to go that early on sacking lands. We'll tap. We'll untap this. Yeah. All right. We have. Oh, that's why I tapped it, because I wanted a black source. Yeah, so float the blue, sack this for a black mana, and then tap this for 2 colorless mana. I'm going to go ahead and remove, boop, boop, cast this Demonic Tutor, go get a Dream Halls. Boom. And then I'm going to go ahead and tap this for, it doesn't matter, a black, sack it for another black, and sack this for another black. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I didn't need to sack that land yet. We'll tap this for the blue, and so we didn't need that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We cast that Dream Halls from our hand, and then we now the Dream Halls under Silence Effect on turn 3, we're able to discard any of these cards to do our combo line. And notably, because we already have Saw and a Half in hand, we can go for any combo we want, whether it be Worldgorger Dragon or for the Saw and a Half combo. And that's it. We don't have to go through those. If you haven't seen them, go back to the timestamp. But that's how the deck works. That is what I define as success. That's what we built the deck and honed the deck to do. Turn 2 unprotected, turn 3 protected. And these were 2 back-to-back turn 3 protected hands. And so with that said, thank you all for being an amazing audience. I just have one thing left to say. If you're looking for more ways to support the show, I just ask, check out the TC community. These guys rock. I literally owe so much of this deck's creation to the TC community. Shout out to Newsom, Bissy Baxton. Let me give, I gotta give flowers. Noble, Paddle Pin for just being a homie. Like everybody, just everyone. If you gave any impact, whether I went for that decision or not, you all had an impact in making this deck work, because this was a challenge for me. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to just everybody. There's not everybody for the playtest games in there as well. So if you want to be able to join me in this amazing brewing experience, check out the TC community. But if you want extra perks like playing our live streams, shouts on our YouTube videos and Twitch streams, as well as free proxies and discount codes, I just want to say, check out the Thunder Legion Patreon community. I just want to say huge shout out to our Is It tier patron, the Praetor, and our Mono Red tier patrons, Wavy Ashira, Bissy Baxton, and B-Rad. These guys rock, and they keep the lights on in a way that they could not imagine. And last but not least, if you say, AT, I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, or the perks. I just want to say one time for the fun time that I love what you do, and I want to support you. Don't worry. Check out the link in the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that said, I love y'all. I will see y'all very soon for this Tiamat gameplay. That'll be easy. Peace.